Hello and good evening. Welcome to the NRL Season 7 semifinals. We are now down to the wire for our drivers, and today will be do or die for anyone on the bubble on the Friday side. My name is Toon, and I am accompanied by two people who I am sure are antsy to see who will potentially make it to the finals next week. I'm talking about Leo and Hovercraft. Leo, this season has almost completely come and gone. How are you feeling about the implications for tonight?
Man, the stakes couldn't be any higher. These guys have got to prove themselves in the worst way possible if they're on that bubble to make it into the final. And for those that are in the clear, they've got to pretty much fight them off. We've got two amazing races. I can't wait to see it. I know you're excited. Hovercraft, I know you're excited. So let's get into it.
Yep, I can't wait to see how this goes. And you're right. Those that are on the bubble are really going to have to give it everything they've got. And those that are making it into the finals, they're going to have to fight hard to defend their spot to make sure that they do not get dethroned. Now, Hover, we've seen faces new and old come out and give it everything they have for 4 broadcasts so far. How do you feel about what you've seen so far, knowing that everything is going to come to a head tonight and next week?
You know, as Leo said, right, we're on the bubble. This is the last chance for all these drivers to solidify their spot going into the finals. So we're going to see probably the aggression go up higher, but the professionalism and the focus and the commitment still being at the same level, right? You have to drive on the edge, but you really gotta work that extra final bit, get to the end of the finish line, and see where you can stack up into the finals.
Oh, yeah. You can't let things dissuade you. You can't let your emotions boil over. You got to remember, this is a professional league. We have world-class drivers here, and I just want them to be cognizant of the fact that, by all means, be aggressive, but don't get reckless, because those penalties, especially at this stage in the game, could definitely cost you an appearance in the grand final for that winner-take-all prize. Now, before we get into what will absolutely be edge of your seat action, we would like to take a moment to thank our beautiful sponsors for this season of the NRL. We here at the NRL would like to thank the DGDR podcast. This fan favorite podcast is where 4 drivers from the PDX Sim team take you inside the world of motorsport and sim racing. From breaking news to heated debates, wild stories to pro tips, these guys cover it all with passion, chaos, and plenty of comedy. Be sure to check out the DGR podcast with new episodes dropping every Monday. We would also like to thank Trails End Custom Construction. If you are in the Charlotte, North Carolina area and feel your home doesn't really speak to you, then look no further than Trails End Custom Construction. This family-owned and operated company offers bespoke solutions including furniture, home building, cabinets, and much more. They will work closely with you to bring your dream home to life right before your very eyes, both on time and within budget. With nothing but 5-star reviews online, you can trust that your dream home is in great hands. Trails End Custom Construction, building your dream, homes and cabinetries that tell your story. We would also like to thank Hanky's Tavern as well, situated in charming Old Town Florissant in St. Louis, Missouri. If great food, great drinks, and great company are what you're looking for, then look no further than Hanky's Tavern. If you're in the St. Louis area, then stop on by and watch the NRL broadcast live on their many large-screen TVs and let them know that the NRL sent you. Lastly, we would like to thank Little J CPA, turning streams and side hustles into smart money moves. Whether you're building a small business, growing a brand, or cashing in on streaming income, we'll help you track earnings, maximize deductions, and keep more of what you've worked for. You focus on building, we handle the numbers. Now let's go and take a look at what our semifinalists in Division B will be facing on Friday. For tonight's semifinal round in Division B on the Friday side, we are at Trial Mountain in the Honda NSX GT500 2008 version. They will be racing 17 laps with a 10-minute qualifier. They'll have to contend with 3 times fuel, 5 times tire, a refuel rate of 3 liters a second. They'll be able to race on any of the racing compound tires, but they have to do at least 1 stint on the hards. BOP will be on with brake bounce loud, and of course it will be a grid start with a false start check. Now with all that said, let's take a look at how the point scoring will look for this season. Shown on screen, you can see that the race winner will achieve 25 points, and this is a round where every point will matter. Second place will nab 18 points, third place getting 15, and fourth will get 12, and going on down from there. Points are rewarded based on the F1 model. Now there is a bonus point for those that finish in the top 10. If you do score the fastest lap by the end of the race and you are within the top 10, you will get an extra point, which could make or break you if you're on that bubble. The top 14 overall division drivers after tonight tonight and tomorrow will move on to the finals. Now with all of that, let's go and take a look at the driver lineup for this awe-inspiring race. Tonight we have Bells 1S, Corridor 71, IORT Fishtail, Luis, Lyric, MD Hop 2, MK3TT WHR, PDX Sim PSVR2, Prod Captain Slow, Robson, Sugar Shuffles, VIP JP Scale, VIP Roddy Burns, and Z Eller. Listed next to their names are their YouTube and or Twitch information should it be applicable to the driver. By all means, go and check out the driver's perspectives because they might be streaming it, but if you do, make sure you leave this tab open and unmuted so you don't miss any of the racing action. However, I'm going to start with you. Trial Mountain, a classic, a tried and true track that everybody is quite familiar with. I haven't really heard too many people speak negatively on it, but with this Group 2 car, it's very, high speed, downforce reliant, susceptible to dirty air. What do you think we're going to be seeing in terms of racing action given those parameters for this race?
Like you said, this track is very, very dependent on the downforce, right? A lot of these corners make use of that downforce heavily. Very few of these corners, besides the final chicane, are more mechanically inclined. With that in mind, there's a little bit of a special rule for this race. Slipstream is not real. It's actually on weak. And while that may sound like Slipstream is weaker than our typical Slipstream setting of real, in this game, for whatever reason, the weak setting of Slipstream is stronger than the real. which kind of does two things. A, down the dirty air a lot more pungent. You'll feel it a lot more in these cars. But B, you will go a lot faster when you're in the slipstream of somebody else, and we're gonna see that really come into play, not just in qualifying, but also in the race.
All right. Yeah, that dirty air is definitely going to be a detriment to our drivers. And honestly, I didn't know the week was stronger than the real. So I definitely learned something new. Thank you for that, Hovercraft. Leo, this is make or break. We've got drivers that are trying to achieve glory and etch their name into the history books for the NRL in being the Division B champion. We've got, like Hover said, dirty air that will play a huge factor for these drivers. And honestly, what do you think the viable strategy, in your opinion, would be for these drivers, knowing that you can race on any of the tires, but you at least have to do one stint on the hards? Do you think starting on the hards is the right move and then doing what you want? Or do you want to save the hards for more towards the end of the race?
Well, Toon, that's going to depend on where they land on the grid. End up in the back. Yeah, hards are the way to go, and start on those and then go to the faster tire. If you're starting up front, you want to be on that faster tire. Me personally, I would always start on the hards and go to the best tire for last.
Honestly, I fully agree with that notion. Getting the slower tire out of the way first is definitely the stronger of the two options, but we'll have to see how it all shakes up as we are following Captain Slow right now, who is coming out of the chicane and onto the start-finish straight in this wonderful sounding Honda, mind you. And coming across the line, and away we go. Now, turn one, this is a tricky bugger. You can definitely get quite a bit of penalties here if you go too far onto the left or the right. Making it through the chicane with no real issues, and short shifting, getting onto the grass just a little squirrely going into the tunnel, but he's able to hold onto it. So very well done from Captain Slow. He is pushing the daylights out of this car. Coming into the hard braking zone for the left-hander, or right-hander, and he is able to get through without any incident. Let's see what happens as he's coming up into the second tunnel and into the downhill. Keeping it nice to the right and coming in very close to the wall. Now, for those of you unaware, that is actually a racing line, and I'd be hard-pressed to find anybody that gets a penalty for that. So, if possible, get your car rotated and try and carry as much speed into the long straightaway for the third tunnel. Coming down into the downhill section and into the bank. He's going to be getting onto the brakes, shifting down into second, getting close to the rock, and belting it on out. Honestly, beautiful racing line from what I've seen from Captain Slow, Leo. This guy has definitely got it down to an absolute science.
Yeah, he's definitely taken all of the track width that he can. Getting as close to that rock is the best ideal line, in my opinion, and then going as close to that barrier on that big banking turn is the way to go, and then through that little chicane is definitely hit the curve on that right hand side, and then the rocks on the left hand side, and straight on down into that tight turn there.
Yep, and as the drivers are coming across the line, it looks like VIP JP Scale is going to be leading the charge at the moment with a 141.664. As we see Fishtail coming through turns 1 and 2, keeping everything nice and neat for turn 3 and up into the tunnel. Everything seems to be shaping up quite nicely for Fishtail and Hovercraft. While our drivers are doing the qualifying, we should probably touch on the fact that these cars are really powerful. They're GT500 cars, so real-life Super GT cars, and it's actually pretty easy for the car to run away from you, especially in some of these hard braking zones like turn 5, and also going into, the final chicane where you have to take it slow and the car gets unsettled. Did you experience any moments in your research where the car just did not want to cooperate on a certain part of the track?
In terms of understeer, not so much, right? The tires will get away from you, but it's very easy to adapt with these cars, right? Shift your braking points a little bit earlier, carry a little bit less speed. It's not too hard to handle the understeer in this car. It's the oversteer, especially once the tires really get into the late stages of a stint. those rear tires, you will notice that the wheel spin just wants to keep building up, and it could catch you out. Some of these drivers, I think we're going to be seeing them use traction control to limit that effect. But, you know, these guys are going to have to be careful, especially if the aero balance may not be in their favor, especially if they're 30 air, right?
Yep.
Less downforce on the rear, a little bit of worn tires, and that is a recipe for disaster for any of these drivers.
Oh yeah, it definitely could. As well as the understeer and clattering the wall. That can definitely cost you some time or get you some damage, as we saw from MK3TT. Now, MK3 is part of Team Wheelhouse Racing, had 23 points, and currently sitting in P11 overall. The last 3 results from MK3 has been Round 3 a P7, Round 2 a P5, and Round 1 a P8. So MK3 definitely has some need for some points in the grand scheme of it, but we'll have to see how everything shapes up. I think drivers such as MK3 on the bottom half of the overall standings could definitely be giving us the performance of their lifetimes, as we see Rowdy Burns getting a little squirrely coming towards the chicane, but is able to hold onto it. So well done from Rowdy. Current overall pole sitter is PHG Lyric with the 141.640. Coming into the last 3.5 minutes of the race, VIP Rowdy Burns is part of Team Victory and Performance Racing, has 25 points. Currently sitting at P9 overall for Division B. The last 3 results are a P6 in round 3, a P2 in round 2, and a P10 in round 1. You can find him on YouTube at VIP_Rowdy Burns. And Rowdy is pushing the daylights out of this car. My goodness. And he's making it look easy in a sense. Now taking a look at VIP JP Scale, who is currently sitting 200ths behind pole position at the moment for this qualifying session as we approach the under 3-minute mark. VIP is coming into the chicane for the 4th time, coming on an outlap on Fresh Racing Softs, and is belting it out, getting a little squirrely, but avoiding any damage on the wall. So very well done to JP Scale. Now, JP Scale does have 44 points overall, and is sitting in P5. Last 3 results for the Victory and Performance Racing driver is a P3 in round 3, a P12 in round 2, and a round 1 race victory. You can find him on YouTube at JP_Scale. Man, these cars are just dancing around this track, and it is mesmerizing to see how much effort these drivers have really put into practicing in the week we had off, isn't it, Leo?
Yeah, man. In my testing, this car was actually perfect around here. And as you were going through all that, Captain Slow actually took pole position there, away from
you. Oh, you sure did.
It is really easy with this combo to get into a flow state of just hitting your marks, and it's a lot of fun, I'm not gonna lie.
Honestly, with the rate these drivers are going and just how they're consistently building up, I mean, Captain Slow, Lyric, and JP are separated by a little over half a tenth of a second, and JP is still going purple as we speak by over a tenth. So you mentioned the flow state. Honestly, when you get into that flow state, especially on a car and track combo like this, driving around it feels almost therapeutic in a sense, because you're just kind of letting your mind shut off for a moment, and you're running on, you know, instinct and muscle memory. You're literally becoming the GT version of Ultra Instinct Goku at that point. Now, as we see VIP JP Scale coming across the line, what will he do for us? And it looks like he will go purple by about half a tenth. So, within the last 60 seconds, we have got a new pole sitter, but will it remain that way? JP is flying. Let's see how Z Eller is looking at this current juncture. Currently sitting in P8 in terms of qualifying, down about 0.03 of a second on PHG Bells. So plenty of room to move up, but he does have Sugar Shuffles about 0.06 of a second behind him. Now, Z Eller is part of Team Wheelhouse Racing, has 15 points overall. Currently sitting in P18 for Division B. The last 3 results was a P8 in round 3, a P6 in round 2, and a P12 in round 1. You can find him on YouTube at AFT Racing 51. As he comes across the line, he is able to take P7 off of Bells' hands by a little over a tenth. Taking a look at Sugar Shuffles. Oh, they're all coming across the line, I would I believe. Oh, they're getting an extra lap. How fortuitous for these drivers. Keep an eye on MK3 coming through the chicane and into turn 3 and up into the tunnel. He is keeping everything as neat as possible. Now let's go and take a look at VIP Rowdy, who will be our first checkered flag recipient of this qualifying session. And he's currently sitting with a 155.788. So he was able to improve about 2 seconds off his personal fastest lap. Now taking a look at MK3 going through the tunnel, keeping everything nice and tidy, revving the daylights out of that car to maximize every little horsepower. And jumping on over to JP Scales, who's coming across the line. Will he even improve on his time? No, does not appear to be so, but still holds on to a resounding P1. PHG Bells goes and retakes P7 by about 0.04 of a second. Corridor wasn't able to improve his time for the qualifying session, and that is A-OK. Take a look at PHG Lyric, who has just exited the final chicane and onto the start-finish straight. Let's see how it's going to shape up for him. As we hit the 41 mark, was not able to improve, unfortunately, so the onus will fall onto Sim. Will he improve? He does, and he takes P2 from Captain Slow. Keeping an eye on Robson coming across the line. What will this time be? It'll be a 1:43. Now take a look at Z Eller. 1:42.3 and improves to retake P7 off of Bells. They have been playing tug-of-war with that one. Sugar Shovels will take P9, and I think we just saw somebody shoot up the board as Sugar Shovels falls into P10. What a qualifying we have seen, folks. The difference between JP Scale and Sim is only 0.02 of a second. We are going to be in for some insanely close racing tonight, and I am just honored to be here to bring you all the coverage. Now let's go and take a look at the classified qualifying results. So, taking pole position after a arduous qualifying session will be VIP JP Scale, who set a personal best lap of a 1:41.544. Coming in close behind him by only 0.02 of a second is going to be PDX Sim with a 1:41.570. Coming in 0.03 of a second behind him and little over 0.5 tenths behind JP Scale is going to be Captain Slow with a 1:41.601. Coming in 0.04 of a second behind Captain Slow is PHG Lyric, only just shy of 0.1 behind JP Scale. So this is going to be, the front of the grid is going to be insanely close. Starting in P5 will be Corridor with the 1:41.831, followed by Robson and MK3 Double T, followed by Z Eller, and making our way to P9, we've got PHG Bells with Sugar Shovels running out our top 10 for our starting drivers. And starting in row 6 will be IORT Fishtail, followed by VIP Rowdy Burns. Oh my goodness. If that's what qualifying had in store for us, however, I don't know about you, but the race proper is going to be absolutely memorable, and I'm going to probably be out of breath because they're going to be all over the place for this one.
Yeah, I think we're gonna see a lot of tire management going into the actual race, right? Race is gonna start out dark. We're gonna be seeing it in the morning, but as the day goes on, sunlight should be reaching us towards the end of the race. So, a lot of these drivers are gonna be expecting their slowest laps to be at the beginning, not necessarily because of the hards, but because of the track conditions. And then I think we're gonna see the lap times really heat up as the sun rises.
Oh yeah, when the sun comes up, those track temperatures are going to increase, and honestly, I'm here for it. This is definitely where miracles can happen, where dreams come true. The NRL just brings you something that you didn't know you needed. And Leo, with what we've seen, you've mentioned you would start on the hards, but now that the race is getting ready to be underway, say you start on the hards, are you going to jump to the mediums and try and run those the whole race, or are you going to try and double stint softs? What do you think is going to be the prime strategy to find success in this race?
Toon, I'm thinking do about 3 laps on the hards, get the requirement out of the way, get on the mediums, see how far those take you. That would be what I would do. If I knew I had enough time, even maybe throw on the softs just to get that fastest lap. But that would be That'd be a stretch.
It definitely would be a stretch. And speaking of stretches, we can't forget about where the penalty line sits for this race, because it is on that start-finish stretch, and it is definitely not a place to be serving a penalty. So I hope these drivers are cognizant of the track limits, and I hope they are cognizant of each other, because Leo, Hovercraft, I don't know about either of you guys, and Hover, you can start off on this one, but it's actually surprisingly easy for turn 1 and 2 for Trial Mountain to get it wrong and get some unexpected airtime by hitting the grass.
Yeah, it has this weird little kind of bump, or kind of it rises and then flattens out very quickly in that first section of corners. And yeah, if you don't hit the first apex well and get your car lined up good for turn 2, it's you're gonna feel that jump in the in the car suspension. But I think another thing that we're gonna have to really think about is how hard it's gonna be for these guys to run away from one another. Right? You have 2 long straights, stronger than normal slipstream. So as long as the guy behind you stays semi close to you once you get onto those straights, you're vulnerable, right? There is I think we're going to see a lot of hard defenses, but I think we're also going to see a lot of smart kind of chess plays where you let the guy overtake you earlier in the straight, right after the exit. That way you can get the slipstream middle of the straight and overtake before you get to the end of the straight into the next corner.
Yeah, honestly, that back straight between turns 8 and 9 has to be one of the longest in this game. And it's honestly prime slipstream opportunity. I know the slipstream is set to weak, which is stronger than real. So it's definitely going to buy our drivers plenty of times to catch up to the car in front of them. Maybe give them some bump drafts, put a gap between themselves and the cars behind, or, they'll carry that momentum and slingshot past them on the inside come turn 9. It's going to be a guessing game, so I just don't know how it's all going to shape up, but luckily that's why we have world-class drivers on the grid ready to go. Now, as they wait for the lights to come off for a second time, they're all ready to go. Nobody is jumping the line, and we are away for the semifinal round for Friday, Division B. Captain Slow gets a little squirrely on the start of the race, but is able to keep control. VIP JP Scale is going to be leading the charge of these very glory-hungry piranhas. As they come through turns 1 and 2, everybody seems to be keeping it nice and neat. Coming in towards turn 3, and everything seems to be falling into place magnificently. Into turn 4 in the tunnel, and JP Scale is pulling away slowly but surely. Sim is able to get the overtake on Captain Slow at the moment. Coming through turn 5, and VIP JP Scale is trying to run away like there is no tomorrow. Turn 6, he's keeping a nice line, and coming into the tunnel for turn 7 and 8. It looks like JP is really just moving. He had a fantastic start. Coming into the tunnel, this is where bump drafts and overtakes can be aplenty. We're going to have to see how it shakes up as the race comes on. Leo, we are seeing some very, very clean racing so far. No incidences with those chicanes, and it looks like we're going to be going 2 wide, almost 3 wide going into turn 1. Lyric closes the door on corridor and is now side by side with Captain Slow. A slight tap on the door, a little wiggle from Captain Slow. But they are going to be 2 wide coming through here, and how is this going to shape up? I don't know. But Leo, we have an amazing start to this race.
Yeah, I mean, I was just watching them guys go 2 wide through that tight section, and that is a terrible idea if they were going to continue on with that. It looks like we had something going on with was this Rowdy Burns, I believe?
Yep.
Mechanical issue of some sort.
Well, I did see over in the chat that Rowdy Burns is racing using the PlayStation Remote Play for this evening. So Rowdy Burns will be going into the box and jumping back up to the front of the field for turns 1 and 2. Looks like JP Scale is going to keep everything neat coming through turn 3. We've got Robson, who is trying to fend off a very hungry Bells. Honestly, it's like this broadcast off fast forward, but Bells goes rally crossing for a moment and is able to get back on track. Now he does have to contend with dirty tires on a very downforce and grip dependent car. This is going to be detrimental for him, but he's able to hold on to P8 right now, but he will lose P9 and go into P10. Going off into believe that was turn 7. Now coming through turn 8 and into the downhill section, Bells is going to have to fend off Sugar Shuffles, who is now in prime slipstream range. Those dirty tires are going to take a moment to wear off, but I think he's going to be able to hold on for just a little longer. Keep an eye on Sugar Shuffles, who is closing that gap ever so slightly in that slipstream range coming into turn 9. Coming through turn 9 and into the braking zone. Will we see any moves? No, it looks like Fishtail and Bells are going to be on the inside, and Sugar Shuffles will belt out, getting close to the wall. And coming through the time check, all right, a 1:05 so far for his lap time. Coming through into turns 12, coming through turn 12, Sugar Shuffles does have a 3/4 of a second deficit between himself and Bells at the moment, but we're only lap 2 of 17, and it looks like Bells will be going and hopping off of the tires and onto a fresh set of rubber. PSG Lyric drifting around turn 15 and onto the start-finish straight. A+ for showmanship, and it looks like it didn't slow him down too terribly much. Lyric is currently sitting a little under half a second behind PDX Sim at the moment, and they're both about 2 seconds behind JP Scales, who is really running away at the moment. Keep an eye on Captain Slow, who is having to fend off Robson and MK3. Coming into the tunnel for turn 4. It looks like he's doing a rather good job. Robson poking his nose on the inside, feathering the throttle from Captain Slow. And coming through into turn 5. Looks like Robson was able to bunch up just a little bit, but wasn't able to make any miracles happen. As we make a look over for turn 7, and it looks like Captain Slow runs wide and grazes the wall a little bit, but he does have the inside line. That will give Robson P6 though, and Captain Slow will have to fend off MK3, who is very close behind him. Moving our way on up. I just can't make sense of this right now. They are so bunched up, and they're going to be making moves all over the place on this long straightaway. That slipstream is going to be your best friend if you're behind a car. It looks like we had a little bit of bump draft for MK3 and Captain Slow. Robson sitting in P6, MK3 running a little bit wide and missing the apex as we come across the third time check and heading in towards turns 10, 11, and 12. Robson is doing a mighty fine job on holding off these drivers at the moment. As we go through turn 13, he's getting a little bit of momentum under him and is able to start trying to pull away, but looks like Bells is not going to take that line down. As we go into the chicanes of turns 14 and 15, Bells is right there waiting for a possible mishap. Getting close to the wall, but avoiding any contact as to not scrub any speed. It is now a drag race onto the start-finish line for the start of lap 4, and it looks like Robson will have the lead and the inside line. So let's see if Bells will acquiesce and allow Robson through. Looks like he will as we go through turns 2 and 3. Looking very good for Bells. He's in prime opportunity to put that pressure onto Robson, and Hovercraft, we're just seeing quite a bit here. Bells is really doing everything he can to put that pressure on the car ahead of him, and Robson is honestly holding like an iron wall. He's looking rather infallible right now.
Absolutely. You know, these two drivers starting on the mediums, and, you know, throughout the grid, there's a big mix of starting tires. But remember, this is the final round, and both these guys are on the lower end of the division. Ooh, Lyric using the slipstream going down the inside into the hairpin. Well ahead of him before the corner even starts to turn in. Great move by him. But going back to Bells and Robson, these guys are lower on the ladder for the points, so these guys want to do everything they can to get in with a chance to go to the finals.
Yep, and just to reiterate, for those of you watching at home, it is going to be a winner takes all final. So it does not matter where you start. All that matters is where you finish. If you start in P last and you make it all the way to the top, you've just won the grand prize for your respective division. And honestly, I wouldn't have it any other way, because it shows us the raw talent and skill of these drivers. Keeping an eye on Bells, who is in P6 now as Z Ella goes into the pits. He is still trying to keep up with Robson and get an overtake through and get into P5. So it looks like Robson is going to be about a little over half a second at the start of the 5th lap, coming in through turns 1 and 2 and going into 3. They keep it very nice and neat. Everything's looking pretty comfortable for these drivers. It looks like they might be having a little bit of fun with it. As we go up towards turn 5, Robson is still ahead, but only by just a little, actually about a half a second at this point. So coming in towards turn 7, Bells is trying to close that gap as much as possible, and Robson sets himself up to take the prime racing line into turn 8. Now they're in the tunnel. This is where Slipstream is going to be your best friend. And keeping an eye on Corridor, who is currently sitting in P4 and is now in a three-way shootout for P2 against Lyric and Sim. Coming up into turn 9, Corridor coasting up on in and belting up on out, looking rather clean, and goes purple by 300 or 0.3 of a second. So we're looking at some prime Corridor right now. Coming towards turn 13, and Corridor is almost right on the bumper of PDX Sim. Leo, I think Corridor is really finding his rhythm on these racing mediums, and I know he's going to have to do the hards, but do you think we'll be seeing him taking P2 in the next few laps?
I believe so. I think he's just actually just hanging back, letting these two fight it out, making it to where his prime opportunity is going to be that last turn on the backstretch there. I think he's going to slingshot past both of them.
You know, I think with how grouped up they are, you are definitely onto something. As we did see Lyric kick up some dirt coming in through turn 2 and 3, into turn 4, and Corridor is, still sitting at about 0.4 of a second, but it is plummeting like a boulder off a cliff. Moving towards turn 5, Corridor is biding his time, waiting for that prime opportunity to strike. These guys are super close. And it's also miraculous to see that they are pushing the daylight out of their cars and each other. But we haven't seen any detrimental penalties either. So this is really working out for all the drivers involved. Coming out of turn 8 and down towards turn 9 on the long backstretch. Let's see if Corridor can make any magic happen with the slipstream. Sim is catching up. Will it be a bumper? Will it be an overtake? He is aiming for an overtake, and Corridor is following suit. Looks like there's going to be a 2-for-1 special in the wrong direction for Lyric as he falls from P2 to P4 coming into turn 9. Corridor side by side. They are too wide coming out of turn 9, and they are able to keep it nice and neat. Lyric falls into P4, but is only a 1/10 of a second behind Corridor at the moment. Coming through turn 12, and everything's shaping up to be just completely action-packed. I believe we see our race leader as well, so they're duking it out and not slowing each other down. This is prime racing that you're seeing, folks. Coming out of turn 13 and down into turn 14. Will we see Lyric send it into the hairpin? No, he will not. Looks like he thought about it for a moment, but backed out, which was great overall wherewithal from Lyric. And he gets squirrely and into the wall goes Lyric.
No.
The battle for P3 is out. Oh, that is unfortunate to see, but he's able to get the car pointed in the right direction rather promptly. That will put Lyric down into P6, and he does have that front aero damage. That is just tragic to see, Leo.
It is. You hate to see it. That is a prime spot. You get too much of that curb, and you think you're okay, and you get on the throttle, and it will spin you around so quickly. And just to top it all off, to get the front aero damage with a car that's aero dependent, you just hate to see it.
You really do, but luckily we're on lap 7 of 17, so Lyric does have ample time to bounce back from this faux pas. As we go through turn 7, Bells now sitting in P5 is 0.3 of a second behind Robson. Robson snakes and sets himself up for the prime inside line for turn 8 and is now belting through the tunnel. Looks like Bells is within slipstream range though, because he is dropping by 100ths of a second each and every moment. So we might be seeing these two going too wide here in the relatively near future if they can keep this consistency up. Bells is revving the daylights out of his car and goes on the outside. Is he trying to carry some overspeed? It doesn't appear to be so. Robson will hold on to P4 coming out of turn 9, and now we go through the S's of turns 10, 11, and 12. And Robson's able to keep it nice and neat, straight as an arrow through turns 10 and 11. And coming out of turn 12, he's now sitting at about 0.3 of a second ahead of Bells, but Bells is definitely not going to give up anytime soon. Bells gets on the dirt though and goes into the wall. Oh my goodness, another incident. So battle for P5 now is cemented in Lyric's hands, and Bells is just trying to find a way to get back on track without causing any collateral damage. He has front aero and both wheel damage, and it looks like Bells is going to be opting to go into the pits. They are definitely pushing the cars as hard as possible, but I think the cars are not as willing as their morale is, unfortunately. Coming through turn 4 for Corridor, who is sitting in P3 at this current juncture, about 6/10 of a second behind Sim. Coming through turn 5 and is able to close the gap ever so slightly. Going through turn 6 and 7, it looks like Corridor is going to be in a good position to try and make the overtake in the tunnel as they come out of turn 8. He is holding on for dear life. He's making that car work with him and not against him on these racing medium tires. As we are going through the tunnel up towards turn 9, they are close to JP Scale. There's only a 2-second deficit between P1 and P3. Corridor is doing what he can to keep up, and I think PDX Sim was just able to hold off Corridor for this lap, but just. Taking the inside line onto turn 9 and heading towards turns 10 and 11. Looks like Corridor's gonna line up for a straight shot into turn 12 and getting right onto the bumper of Sim, but avoiding any disaster. So great wherewithal from Corridor. Going in through turn 13 for the 8th time of asking. Corridor gets a little squirrely, but is able to hold onto the car. That will give PDX Sim a slight bit of breathing room. As we come into turns 14 and 15, Corridor going a little deep, but is able to rein it back in. Coming out of turn 15, holding on and feathering the throttle on out. Everything seems to be shaping up quite nicely. But Hovercraft, I think the commentators' purses are coming back in full force. We had a couple weeks off as MK3 is drifting, and oh my goodness, he saves it. Oh Jesus, MK3, please save the theatrics for the end. Coming through turn 14 and 15, MK3 is having to hold off ZLer and Sugar Shovels at the moment. As they go through the start-finish straight, Sugar Shovels is in prime slipstream range for ZLer. So it looks like Sugar Shovels will try and stay close to the driver in P9 to try and get an overtake towards the back half of the track. Looks like ZLer will get the inside line for turns 1 and 2 and gets a half-second penalty for a track limits infringement. As we said, folks, it is very easy to pick up a track limits penalty there. And now ZLer is doing what he can to bounce back from this, but yeah, Hovercraft, back to my point. The commentators' curses seem to be out in full force. And Sugar Shovels, oh no, Sugar Shovels losing control, but is able to avoid any damage. I stand corrected. But he's able to get the car back on track and now has to try and catch back up with ZLer. Hovercraft, everything's happening at once. What do you think what we're seeing so far on the track?
This is what I was talking about before the race, right? It's not really understeer that people have to worry about. It's the oversteer. These rear tires are being worn down so much because these guys want to keep up the pace and make themselves at least have a chance to defend their positions at the end of these long straights. But it's costing them with stability on the exits of these corners, especially on the back half of the track, where we're seeing a lot more of the spins because of the unevenness of the track. This is what is causing these drivers to lose the car on the rear end, on the exit, on the throttle, when they have to start climbing through the gears and the torque suddenly kicks in.
Yeah, the undulations of this track are being a recipe for disaster for these drivers, and they're doing everything they can to hold on for dear life as this car is trying to work against them. Corridor getting a little squirrely out of turn 4 and heading up into turn 5. He's able to save it. Will he be able to have the same success coming out of turn 5? Gets a little squirrely and saves it, but that does slow him down just a little bit and does give Sim a little bit of breathing room as they head up towards turn 8. Keeping an eye on JP Scale, who comes out of the box on the racing hard tires. And honestly, I want to quickly pick your brain on something, Hovercraft. The brake balance is allowed. In your research and your testing with your S7R compatriots, what was the ideal brake balance setting for you when you were running laps on this? Was it towards the front, more centered, or towards the rear?
You know, this car being mid-engine, you know, the famous NSX, but with the fact that it relies so much on aerodynamics, it's kind of this weird little balance where the fronts and the rears are wearing down fairly evenly enough. So you're only really gonna put the balance 1 or 2 clicks, be it the front or the rear, depending on how you drive the car, right? I personally like running rear brake balance because I just like the rotation and I can control the car in a fashion where it doesn't hurt me in terms of stability. But some of these guys are going to be putting it more towards the front to try to keep the rears from wearing down too much, right? They want to work the understeer, not work the oversteer. You know, seeing how many cars have already lost control. But ultimately, none of these drivers should be going too far in one direction. It should only be 1 or 2 clicks in the preference of their driving style.
All right, I gotcha. And thank you for the valuable insight. I've always been one that kind of full sends my brake balance is either all the way to the front or all the way to the rear. There's no in between, and that probably explains why I'm still a B-rated driver. Now, Corridor does take the overall race lead from PDX Sim on the start-finish straight, and as they're heading up towards turn 8, Corridor setting himself up to take a nice inside line, almost grazing the wire fence on the left. And now down into the tunnel we go. This is going to be a perfect time to strike for PDX Sim, but will he have enough time by the end of this long straightaway? Looks like Sim is starting to gain on him, but not enough to be able to break off and go for the inside. And it looks like Sim will back off for this one, but has a little more momentum. It looked like Sim may have been trying to plan a cheeky move on the inside. Coming through turns 10 and 11, keeping everything nice and neat for turn 12, hard onto the brakes. And those right side tires are definitely looking a little worse for wear for the drivers. Coming in through turn 13, they are almost too wide. It looks like Corridor is going to hold on to P1 and Sim will go into the box. So it looks like we've got Corridor running uncontested for the moment in P1. Jumping on over to the battle for P6 between MK3 and Robson. There's about a 3/4 of a second deficit between the two right now as they come through turn 12. So MK3 is able to breathe somewhat peacefully, and coming through turn 13, he's just got to keep that car pointed in the right direction. Will he? And he does. He doesn't go too far and clip the grass, and off he goes into the chicane for turns 14 and 15. We've got drivers going into the box left, right, and center. Looks like Sim is going into the box to hop onto the hards from what I could gather. Coming on to the start-finish straight and over into P3 through VIP JP Scale. JP coming out of turn 3 and heading up into turn 4. He's got a 1.5 gap between himself and Sim, but he's also got a 3.5 second gap between himself and Captain Slow. So right now, JP just has to focus on getting into his flow state again and start trying to catch up to P2. Now, there is a 15-second deficit between JP and Corridor at the moment, but that is also because JP did go into the pits. So, when Corridor goes into the box, we will see a more equilibrium in terms of the time between drivers. Now, Sim is still a little over a second ahead of JP Scale, and it doesn't look like JP will have any opportunities to try and close that gap, at least at this point. JP is on the racing hards and coming into turn 9, bringing it on in and running it on out in a nice U-shaped fashion. JP coming through turns 10 and 11 and into 12, light onto the brakes as to not unsettle the balance and harmony of the car as Corridor goes into the box. So that will net Sim and JP the opportunities to take P1 and 2 respectively. As they make their way towards turn 14 and 15, Corridor is just now making it to the box, and he'll be having to hop on those notorious hard compound tires. Will he be taking fuel? It doesn't appear to be so. We are in the final 4 laps of the race, so looks like fuel will not be an issue for any of these drivers. And it looks like Corridor may have actually had enough time to get out, and he was able to hold on to P1. But now he does have PDX Sim and JP Scale on broken in hard tires, but that's not going to slow down Corridor by any stretch of the imagination. They are going to be too wide. Coming up through turn 4, Corridor has the inside line. He's trying to carry as much momentum as possible, but Sim was able to carry the overspeed. Will JP be able to take P2 off of Corridor's hands? Doesn't appear to be so. They are a conga line right now, coming out of turn 5 and going into turn 6. Making their way through turn 7, they're almost too wide between JP and Corridor, so this is getting very down to the wire, folks. Going through turn 8, everybody's taking the inside line, and now we're going to see who is going to leapfrog whom on this one, as we've got Corridor in the slipstream of PDX Sim and JP in the slipstream of Corridor. They are trying to do everything possible to shake off the other driver, but they also can't be moving too much. Otherwise, they might get some regulation penalties for moving too much. Oh, and it looks like we had one off and into the wall over on the side coming into turn 9. Making the way out, and it looks like everybody's going to be holding the line in their respective positions as we go through turns 10 and 11. Corridor is going to try and keep up with PDX Sim at the moment, and JP is doing what he can to keep up with him. So I don't think Sim is going to be able to breathe a sigh of relief for really the rest of this race with how tightly bunched these drivers are. Doesn't look like anybody's going to try and get cute and hop onto a soft compound tire either, so they'll be running the rest of the race on the hards. Corridor is in a rather precarious position. His tires are getting warmed up as he leaves through turn 15. If he was able to get through on the lukewarm hard tires, I think he should be able to breathe a sigh of relief and race confidently for the remainder of the race. Now to start lap 14, we've got JP Scale about a quarter of a second behind Corridor, and actually about a quarter of a second behind Sim, and they go a little argy-bargy, and everything is coming unraveled here. Corridor gets a little squirrely and gets a little bit of a nudge from JP, but surprisingly no damage from any driver, and they were all able to keep control. Leo, that was just, it's like the stars aligned for everybody on that one, and they were able to avoid a recipe for imminent disaster.
Yeah, if that's not a testament to these driver skills, I mean, these guys are going to be duking it out for the next 3 laps, non-stop. And I need to find my blood pressure medication because that scared me, and I'm sitting here watching it.
Yeah.
They're going to be duking it out. Core's going to try.
Oops, sorry to interject. Yep, Corridor was able to carry that momentum and take P1 off of Sim's hands. But will he be able to hold onto it for the remainder of the race? Sim does have quite a bit of momentum, but it doesn't look like it's enough to overtake it, and he actually loses P2 to JP Scale. But I'm sorry, Leo, as you were saying?
Oh, no, you're fine. I've completely lost track after all that now. I will say, oh, yeah, blood pressure medication. I'm sorry. There's so much going on. It was terrifying to watch that, but I want to interject my thoughts on where Sim is right now. He is in prime position for these two to fight it out and maybe slingshot him around like Core did a few laps back to where he will end up P1 again.
You know, the opportunity for battling is very high between these drivers, but we did see these drivers duke it out. Oh my goodness, 3 abreast into turn 1, and JP just launches it through turn 2 and 3. So that will give JP Scale P2, and my goodness, he is running away. I don't know what button he hit in that car or what gear he found, but he just went past Corridor like he was standing still, and it looks like Corridor is going to be going off into P3 now. So yeah, we're going to have a lot of duking. I think I just heard the clattering of a car against a wall. I'm not 100% sure on that one. Coming through turn 7, Corridor now falls back into P3 as they head into turn 8. Will he be able to get the momentum and get the overtake in the tunnel towards P9? We are going to have to see. The deficit between Corridor and Sim is a little over half a second at the moment. And really, they're duking it out without even slowing each other down because they are 6 seconds ahead of P4 and Captain Slow. So right now, it's just a battle to see who's going to be where on the podium. And since this is the semifinal round, we know all of these drivers are trying to get P1 because those 25 points are not something to be taken lightly. Those could be make or break because once the drivers on the Friday side are done, their fate lies in the hands of the drivers on Saturday. So they could rest their heads knowing they did everything they could at the end of this race. But as we are rounding the antepenultimate lap, they've also got to think about the fact that everything that happens after this is completely out of their control. Coming up into turn 14 for the 15th time of asking. And it looks like Corridor is right on Sim. Oh, and we get overlap, and he spins out Sim. That's going to be a look from the stewards in an unfortunate sequence of events to end a beautiful battle for the podium steps. That will put Sim in the clutches of Captain Slow, and he'll now have to defend off P4 and 5 for the remainder of the race. As we start the penultimate lap, he's only half a second ahead of Captain Slow. My goodness, it's heartbreaking to see a battle end, especially in a fashion such as that. Coming in through turn 3, Sim is doing everything he can to bounce back. There is a 4-second deficit between himself and P2 at this moment. And Captain Slow is now going to be salivating and rubbing his hands, thinking about trying to get some extra points off of Sim for that final podium step. So we're going to have to see how it all shakes up over this next lap and a half. Captain Slow is currently sitting a little over a second behind Sim, but he does have MK3 about 3/4 of a second behind him as they start to enter the tunnel for the second to last time. Now, Captain Slow's tires are looking very, very shot. And Hubbard, quick question, did Captain Slow start on the hards?
Captain Slow, to my notes, actually started on, yes, actually on the hards. So he must have...
Oh, we got a no stop.
Yes, I believe it was a no stop. He did have some early race troubles, as I say that.
Yep, it looks like he's got some trouble right now in terms of MK3, who is trying to find an opportunity to overtake. Those tires are both on a harder compound and also ready to check out into the retirement home. And it looks like Captain Slow is going to do everything he can to hold onto the car for the next lap and a quarter. So will he be able to? That is the real question. This chicane right here is going to be make or break for a lot of these drivers, especially on the worn tires. Coming out of turn 15, Captain Slow's got to feather it out gingerly, but is able to hold on and keep the car pointed in the right direction. But that will give MK3 the opportunity to drag race to start the final lap. Honestly, we might be seeing these two drag race to finish this thing if they play their cards right. Getting a little close to each other, and Captain Slow will take the inside line for turn 1 and get into turn 2. So he'll get turn 3 uncontested, and MK3 drifts it through turn 3 and up into turn 4, catching up rather promptly. Now, MK3 does have the grip advantage, all things considered. Coming into turn 5, will Captain Slow be able to keep the car pointed where it needs to be? It looks like he will. So, business as usual coming into turn 7. And will MK3 be able to close the gap on Captain Slow right now? Doesn't appear to be the case, but that tunnel is going to definitely give him all the opportunity in the world to get the overtake done. He's well within slipstream range. That gap is plummeting by the hundredths right now, actually a couple of hundredths at a time. So before we even leave this tunnel, we might be seeing him rearing up to go. I stand corrected, but looks like Captain Slow is trying to move onto the inside line and take a defensive maneuver. Well played to him, but MK3 will shoot over through the outside, trying to carry the overspeed, but it looks like the inside line is just the premier line for this. As we are nearing the end of the race, oh my goodness, they are just absolutely sending it right now. Coming into turn 12. We both know Captain Slow's tires are done for the day, and MK3 is just rearing to go, but Captain Slow is not making this easy for MK3. Captain Slow coming out of turn 13 for the final time this race and down into the notorious chicane. This is going to be a dangerous situation. Captain Slow chopping the nose off of the driver behind him as we see JP Scale take P1, Corridor take P2. PDXM will comfortably take P3 as they are side by side. MK3 and Captain Slow. Looks like he just lost a little bit of speed by getting squirrely. So that will mean MK3 will resoundingly take P4 off of Captain Slow's hands. Just well done on that one. As we see Z Eller come across the line from P7, Fishtail takes P8. And Bells will comfortably take P9, it seems, with just a bit of fuel to spare. Robson was sitting 2 seconds behind Bells, so comfortably sitting at P9 will be Bells, as well as P10 for Robson. Taking a look at Sugar Shovels, who was actually not that far behind. It looks like Sugar Shovels will take P11, and Rowdy Burns will be crossing the line. Oh, is that a 5-minute gap? Wow. And it looks like, Rowdy Burns comes in and it crosses the line. A couple laps down, unfortunately, but he was working with Whitey hats, so let's all give a round of applause to Rowdy Burns for being able to come up and do what he could. A valiant effort. Congratulations to VIP JP Scale for the race victory and pole position. Making our way over to the provisional classified race results. Taking the overall race victory with a race time of 29 minutes, 37 seconds, .745 will be VIP JP Scale. Coming in P2, down by about a little over a second and a half, and taking fastest lap will be Corridor 71, with PDX Sim rounding out our podium. We had a very close battle between MK3 and Captain Slow, and it looks like MK3 was able to take it from him at the last minute to secure a magnificent P4. Making our way down into P6 will be PHG Lyric, followed by Z Eller, with IRT Fishtail coming in P8, with PHG Bells coming in P9, with Robson rounding out our top 10. Sugar Shuffles will take P11, and VIP Rowdy Burns finishes 3 laps down, but rounds out our racers for this semifinal Division B race. Oh my God, that was a finals caliber battle between many of those drivers. However, what did you think of what we saw?
I think it's really interesting to see or have seen the different kind of pit strategies, right? The top three all pitting on different laps, trying to think of how to gain advantage on the other guys, and it still didn't separate them that much, even though we saw, them at the end of race results being 7 seconds behind the leader. Ultimately, he was still in it up until towards the end of the race. So very interesting to see how these guys looked at the race strategical point of view, and how the changes in their execution ultimately resulted in their final race positions.
Yeah, just absolutely amazing. Leo, what did you think of what we saw?
Uh, I'd have to agree with you, Tune. That was like a finals battle. So I'm excited to see what these guys are gonna do for the actual final. Other than that, I mean, close racing is not the word. They were on each other the entire time, and I was so mesmerized by just seeing how these guys could keep it together, the car control, and just I'm blown away. I'm more speechless than anything.
Yeah, honestly, I'm speechless. I'm blown away. I'm mesmerized. I'm proud. I'm feeling a fruit salad of emotions right now because we've been following these drivers for 4 rounds, multiple weeks. Honestly, we've hit the multiple months category being in this booth and watching these drivers, and it's been a sight to behold, and it just shows that the only way is up is the only way to go is up. But enough of my yammering. Let's go and have a word with our P3 finisher in PDX Sim. Sim, we had a week off and also had a fun time on the DGR podcast.
Yes, we
Uh,
did.
what kind of trials and tribulations did you wind up going through when you were going through your practice and trying to figure out your race strategy for this semifinal race?
We went through and practiced every night, tried every combination there was to think of, and had great practices. Never really any mess ups like I made tonight, but hats off to Corridor and Scale. Man, that was a fun race, man. I couldn't believe it. I can't believe I biffed it though, but was able to
Yeah.
save it.
Yeah, honestly, that race between you three was a sight to behold, and honestly, it was art. It was art in its purest form. So, yeah,
That was
congratulations on
fun.
the P3.
Thank
Uh,
you.
Leo, do you have any questions for PDX Sim?
Well, congrats on the P3. I know you're kind of feeling bummed about, the little mistake that you had. Were you kind of surprised that Core actually was able to pull off getting out of the pits while you two were coming up to it?
Yeah, I was actually pretty surprised. I actually thought he was going to take a little bit of fuel. So there for a second, I'm like, okay, he'll probably take some fuel. I should have this. But then, yeah, just seeing him pop out right there. So hats off to him for putting a good last lap in to keep the lead. But the PDX Sim team, DGDR podcast, they gave me a great car today. So I was, battling for that second because Scale was able to get that first back, but then battling for second and then just biffing it. But all in all, a good day being on the podium.
Indeed, indeed. Well, congratulations again.
Yes. Congratulations, Sim. Hopefully, we will see you in the finals where you can work some more of that magic and maybe, take it all. We'll have to
What I'm
see what
shooting
the
for,
final.
boys.
Yep,
What I'm
we'll have
shooting
to
for.
see. But you are gonna have to try and pry it off the hands of Corridor. But thank you so much
Right,
for your
I
time,
know.
Sim.
All right, thank you guys. Have a good night.
All right, and now we're gonna move on to our second place finisher in Corridor 71. Corridor, you surprised us with the pitch strategy. You went in, didn't take fuel, and you were able to give yourself enough time to essentially get a free pit stop without having to worry too terribly much. So, what were your thoughts when you went into the pits, and what were your thoughts when you were leaving the pits and seeing JP and Sim right behind you?
Hello, guys. Well, what an exhausting race. That three-way battle was something else. When I went to the pit, I was just praying that I could get out of the pits in front of PDX Sim and JP Scale. I didn't take any fuel. I had enough for the rest of the race, but I was looking at the time difference, and per my calculations, I should have been in P3 after the pits, but you know, my mechanics were quick enough and I could get out in front, but with my cold tires and they having warm-up tires, I lose the lead pretty quickly. But
Honestly, you did great. You really did, and it looked so calculated. It was almost like you were hoping for this. But enough from me. Hovercraft, take it away.
Pues, bienvenido otra vez, corredor. Otra semana, otro gran resultado. Y como Etun dijo antes, manejaste buenísimo hoy. Siempre fue batallando con JP Skill y Sim, y nunca faltó. Siempre tenía su cometa o su su habilidad, su talento, y nunca tenía un problema casi nada por la carrera. Pero yo quería preguntar, como el último temporada fue la campeón de división B. Pero esa temporada, especialmente en sus sesiones de cualificando, Sam y JP Skill y los otros pilotos siempre fue dando una tiempo duro. Pero ustedes todavía no ha faltado. El último 3 semanas encontraste terminando en el podio. ¿Cómo esos resultados y cómo la carrera hoy está cambiando su opinión de cómo usted puede manejar en el último carrera? ¿Usted está sintiendo confidente? ¿Usted está sintiendo un poquito nervioso? ¿Qué sientas hoy en la noche pensando que usted va a ir a la final?
pues mira, las estadísticas siempre han estado en mi contra. De todas las carreras que he corrido en NRL, solo he ganado una y es la final de la temporada pasada. Me siento cómodo sin ser el favorito. Sé que pues siempre va a haber muchos que estén por encima de mí en la cuestión de quién el público quiere que gane o quién piensan que va a ganar. Pero pues yo me siento cómodo sin empezar en la P1 o en la P2. Prefiero empezar en la P4, en la P6, como parece que voy a iniciar la final. Y pues me gusta remontar, me gusta dar pelea a los que van adelante de mí y espero tener un buen desempeño en la final de esta temporada.
Por supuesto, como yo dijo, sus resultados en cualificación, yo creo que usted todavía no agarrado un pole esta temporada, pero usted siempre ha encontrado un lado para terminar la carrera en el primero 3 y como yo dijo, yo siento que usted buen chance ganando el título otra vez en la próxima semana. Y pues buen carrera hoy, fue buenísimo, fue divertido mirando tú compitiendo contra Sam y JP Skill, y yo espero que usted tenga las ganas otra vez para ser campeón.
Muchas gracias, espero que sí.
All right. Thank you so much, Corridor. Now, before we let you go, do you have a message to any of your fellow Division B drivers on what to expect if they try and take your title from you as Division B champion this season?
Oh, interesting question. I don't know, I guess just see you all guys that qualify to the final. See you next week and let the fastest guy win.
All right, there you have it. He is a gracious champion, and he awaits your challenge next week in the finals. Thank you so much for your time, Corridor. You rest up because that had to have been taxing.
Thank you, guys.
All righty, everybody. We're going to take a brief intermission, and when we come back, we will have the Division B standings overall, and then we will have our Division A race. So go grab yourself a snack, settle your heart rate a little bit after that intense race, and we'll be back at you here in a few minutes. Sit tight.
Witness a lakefront transformation right here in the Point. And you may not believe it, but just last year, this home was down to the studs.
Hi, I'm Mark Goldstein, and welcome to Hankies. We are located in the heart of Old Town Florissant, 901 North Lafayette, a few blocks down from Sacred Heart Church and Hendel's Market Cafe. This local establishment started in 1926. The Hankies family bought the bar from the Schraders in 1955. And then turned into what it is today, Hankies Tavern. And in 2021, a group of local investors became owners of Hankies Tavern. Recently, we went from a dirt pile to a full-fledged patio, which has bags and washers, entertainment on Friday, Saturday night, which we hope to extend that. We have extended our kitchen hours, which is a request for many, many years. We do have draft beer back after a 12-year lull of no draft beer. We have brought that back with Budweiser as our mainstay, since this was a Budweiser bar in 1926, right before Prohibition.
We're still doing the crinkle cut fries and our cheeseburger platters, but now we have a couple new creative ideas that our kitchen staff has came up with. So come in and try our homemade chicken lollipops. We smoke them fresh daily and then fry them and top them with a Asian butter sauce, and then topped with green onions as well. That's our biggest hit right now that we have on our menu. Each and every day we make fresh sauces, and we take pride in that. We feel like we have a very good variety of sauces that pair well with our appetizers. Whether you want to come in here for lunch with just you and a buddy, or you want to come in here with you and your whole group of people, whether it's 20 people, 200 people, we feel like we can accommodate everyone and anybody.
As of this year, we've done something that it hasn't happened in the history of this establishment. We do accept credit cards. We established a Hankies Helps non-for-profit organization that reaches out to friends in need. Hankies is a community bar. We have a lot of the regulars from years past still attending. We have a lot of the regulars that have left our area that are coming back in droves to see what's going on. Hours of operation is from 11 a.m. to 1:30 a.m. The kitchen hours are from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 11 a.m. till 9 p.m. Find out more information about Hankies on our Hankies Facebook page, Hankies Tavern. We put the band, when the bands are going to be here, the events are going to be here. Come join us at Hankies Tavern for a burger and a beer. You'll enjoy all the new items that we have, and you'll enjoy all our new improvements. So we look forward to seeing you in the future. Again, join us on our Facebook page, or you can call us at 314-386-1525 to get a carry-out order, or if you have any questions.
Welcome back, everybody. Oh my goodness, what a race we just witnessed, and we are far from done. Before we get into the overall Division B standings, we'd like to take a quick moment to give a special thank you to our producer, Big Joe 603, for the $5 donation. Says great race, and yeah, honestly, I could not agree more. Thank you so much for your donation. Every little bit, be it Super Chat, Super Sticker, Swiss Bank account transfers, the NRL donate command, anything along those lines goes straight into the NRL to help fund the prize pool, help pay our diligent stewards and producers, as well as us up here in the booth. Every little bit goes a long way. If you don't have the means to donate monetarily, your viewership is more than enough. Just spread the word. We are honored and privileged to have your company every single round of the NRL. Now, with all of that said, let's go and take a gander at those Division B standings. Alrighty, folks, we've still got Saturday to go, but currently at this moment, pending any potential steward inquiries from bottom to top, we have... Honestly, I'm quite excited to see how this all shapes up. We've had 4 arduous rounds. Honestly, the extended season, I don't know about those of you at home, but I'm quite fond of it. I think it's long overdue. So feel free to chime off, for those of you watching at home, what your thoughts on the extended season are, because I think it just gives us more opportunities to see some absolutely top tier racing action from these drivers. I'm honored and privileged to be here every round, and there's nowhere else I'd rather be. And especially with racing action such as this, it's a blessing, in all honesty. Wouldn't you agree, Leo?
Oh, for certain. The extra round is definitely a welcomed addition.
Yeah, and hopefully we'll maybe even see this moving forward, or maybe we'll see more rounds until it's a year-round thing. We'll just have to see what the future has in store. However, this is our first long season, and we did talk before the broadcast about the potential of drivers hitting the triple-digit club on points. So, honestly, do you think we'll be seeing some triple-digit club members for the season?
Well, I'm crossing my fingers that, one of my teammates, one of Sector 7's Racing finest drivers that ever raced the game, has the opportunity to go into the triple digits in terms of points for the first time. Obviously, that is useful due to the extra round, but even then, going and getting triple digits in terms of points is a very impressive accomplishment, regardless.
Oh yes, it'll be the first time in NRL history, I believe, we'll see somebody potentially hit triple-digit points. And really, there should just be a special mention for whomever does it going into the finals, because, well, it's a first. This is a league of firsts. It's a history-making sort of league, and really you just can't beat it. Honestly, this is the place to be. These are the drivers to watch, and I know we're at the semifinals, and I will admit I will be a little heartbroken once the season ends, because this is like a home to me and many of the drivers and many of our very talented and wonderful staff members, both on screen and behind the scenes. but I know after this season ends, I'm going to be keeping a very close eye on some of these drivers because by and large, our drivers do like to get some improvement going in the interim between seasons. So come season 8, we might see Division B drivers going up into Division A, or we'll see even more faces in Division B and A. So taking a look at the overall standings for Division B as of the end of Friday. Currently sitting at the top of the leaderboard is PDX Sim PS VR2 with 83 points. Coming in P2, who is yet to race because he is on Saturday, will be Sheldologist with 79, with VIP JP Scale rounding out our top 3 so far. Coming in P4 will be Corridor with 67 points, followed by Cole Trickle on the Saturday side, rounding out our top 5. Digital Relay over on Saturday is currently sitting in P6, followed by MK3TT WHR with 35. We have Belmora in P8 with 33, followed by Captain Slow in P9. We've got Papa over on the Saturday side with P10 and 27 points. We've got VIP Rowdy Burns here on Friday sitting in P11 currently with 25, who's actually also tied with Kulov over on the Saturday side. So that tie might be broken come end of Division B tomorrow. We've got Sugar Shuffle sitting in P13, and right on the bubble right now is IORT Fishtail in a tie with Sugar Shuffles for 22 points. Taking a look over onto the other side of things, we've got Lyric sitting with 21 points, as well as Z Eller in a tie for P15. We've got Caper, who has a whole lot to gain here and a whole lot to lose, sitting at P17 with 19 points and will be racing tomorrow. We've got Robson in P18 with 18 points, followed by Stumpy in P19 on the Saturday side of things with 16. We've got Bells 1S in P20 with 14, followed by Pelias Pangolin on the Saturday side with 11 points in P21. We've got BHR Johnny Boy sitting with 10 points in P22 over on the Saturday side of things. And also as well on Saturday, we've got PHG Arrow with 9, followed by Jimmy K9 with 5, and a tie with Folk Drone W, followed by Luis in P26 over here on the Friday side of things, with Shadow Chef in P27 with 3 on the Saturday side, and MD Hop over here on the Friday side with -1. So these drivers on the Saturday side know their benchmarks, they know what they're going to have to hit, and the Friday drivers know exactly what they don't want to see happen, so they're going to be watching with a very scrutinous eye come tomorrow. But with all that said, let's go and take a look at what our Division A race will be for this semifinal round. For our semifinal Friday Division A round, we move on over to Blue Moon Bay Speedway in the Hyundai Elantra N Touring Car 2024 Group 4 car. They will be racing 24 laps on racing soft, medium, or hard tires. There are no tire requirements for this one, folks. They'll have 3 times tire and 4 times fuel, a refuel rate of 3 liters a second, a 10-minute qualifier, grid start with false start check, heavy damage, and BOP will be on with brake balance allowed. Now with that, I think it's time we refresh our memories on how the point allocation works this season. So, following the F1 model, the race winner will get 25 points, with second place getting 18 points. Third place will get 15, with fourth getting 12, and it goes down from there from 10 all the way to 1 in 10th place. Now there will be a bonus point for the fastest lap if you finish in the top 10, and that 1 point could make or break your finals run. So with that, the top 14 overall division drivers after round 4 will move into the finals. It is anybody's game right now, folks. This is where shakeups are aplenty. But after looking at the point scoring, let's go and take a look at the driver lineup for this race. So for our Division A, my apologies, a semi-final round, we have a higher place, Alicos 1, Audrey the Squirrel, Bacon Dance, the True Serum, Drobo, Flopster, Hondo, IORT Asriel, Moose 21, Negative Waves, S7R Wid, Shred, and VIP left to pass you. Once again, listed next to their names are their Twitch and or YouTube presence should it be applicable to them. Please do feel free to go and check out any of these drivers listed on screen as they may be streaming their perspective, but if you do, please leave this tab open and unmuted so you don't miss any of the racing action. Now, gentlemen, and I actually want to start with you, Hovercraft. Touring car racing. To me, it is honestly motorsport in its purest form. I know people love GT3 racing. I know people love, the LMP races, taking a look at the prototypes and the hypercars. And I myself also adore the MX-5 Cup, but there's just something special about touring car racing. It's like rallycross. It's simple yet magnificent at the same time.
Yeah, touring car racing, regardless of what era or what part of the world you see it as, it's very much, the cars aren't as difficult to drive as some other race machinery that are cousins to touring cars. But that, in a way, makes the racing better, because if the cars are easier to drive, then it's easier for the individual driver to get it to its limits. And if more people get it to its limits, naturally the field is going to close in a lot faster, or a lot more than compared to GT3s, GT4s, Formula 1, Super Formula, whatever. And that's the beauty of it. These cars are meant to be somewhat easier to drive, resulting in closer fields, resulting in some of the greatest battles and some of the greatest moments in motorsport history that we have been lucky and blessed to see. And I think that's going to be reflected here tonight.
Oh, I could not agree more. We're going to be seeing just pure talent, pure racing. These cars are as close as they can be to their road-going cousins, with, a couple safety features added, of course. And there are some nuances, but in terms of production car to race spec, they are as close as humanly possible. So if you think GT3 is close, you're correct, but touring car is indeed closer. Leo, front, Group 4 car, a specialty of yours, and I know you've done some practice in this. And, thoughts and predictions aside, what were your thoughts on this combo when you were just throwing the car around?
I was skeptical at first. I was like, well, this is kind of a bigger track for this kind of vehicle. But I started doing laps, and man, it just felt right. I was like, this thing turns in. It's predictable. It felt right. And while we're going at a slower speed, like Hovercraft was saying, it's tour cars. It is easier, but I feel like strategy is going to be the biggest thing here.
Oh yeah, strategy will be pivotal. There's no tire requirements. All racing compounds are available to these drivers, so it's really a grab bag on who wants to do what. We could see people try and go for a, no stopper like we saw Captain Slow do in the last round, or in the Division B race, I should say. Or we could see people go for a one stopper, soft it maybe, medium soft it, hard mediums if you're feeling adventurous. But we are currently on board with MMR Moose 21, the proprietor of Moose Mafia Racing, as he is coming through the second to last turn for his outlap. Getting very close to that barrier, mind you, the tires screeching for dear life with that understeer, and taking a low line coming around the final bank and towards the start-finish straight. Let's see what the benchmark time will be from the MMR driver as he comes across in a Looney Tunes out livery. I'm going to hope that's a nod to, his favorite teammate. He sets a 112.619 with Detrucium coming in with a 113.077. Everybody's flying in right now. Moose goes back into the pits. Witt is currently sitting about a tenth behind at a 112.723. Now, Wid does get a little squirrely on that elevation change, and Hubbard, that elevation change is not something to be taken lightly. It can really upset the rhythm and harmony of your car, as Wid also goes up by 0.08 of a second.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because with most cars, hitting that bump in the wrong way or without having space to the wall to give yourself a safety cushion would be, spelling a disaster for your race. But with these cars, it's a combination of not only the weight but the front-wheel drive system that allows them to actually take the bump pretty well. These guys will be getting really close to the wall when the bump comes across, and they'll be perfectly fine. Even if they scrape the wall a little bit on exit, sure, they'll lose a little bit of time, but they won't really see much damage come to them.
No, they will not. And it's definitely something these drivers will have to be cognizant of as we see Wid coming towards the Wid coming towards the pit box. Ooh, that was actually a fun sound for the pit alarm. I liked that one. Now, as we see VIP left to pass you coming out towards turn 2, keeping a nice line. VIP left to pass you is part of Team Victory in Performance Racing with 9 points overall. Currently sitting in P22 overall for Division A. Had a unfortunate DNS for last round. Had a P8 in round 2 and a P13 in round 1. So really the only way is up for VIP left to pass you for this race. And taking a look at a higher place who is coming through turn 3 and 4, keeping a nice line, currently up on his personal best time. And I spy with my little eye a $20 donation from PHG Papa, also known as Papa's House Again, proprietor of the team of the same name. Let's go NRL, or NRLers. All right. Well, thank you so very much for your generous donation, Papa. It's always a delight to see you. And that money is going to be very well put to use for the prize pool and payouts for everybody associated with this fantastic league. So once again, thank you so very much. Now taking a look at a higher place who is coming towards the start-finish straight and about to set a new lap time. What will it be? It'll be a 1:12, propelling all the way up into P2 for a higher place. Now making his way around turn 1 and up towards turn 2, we're going to go and take a look at Flopster, who is coming across the line and starting a new lap. Getting onto that elevation change, getting a little squirrely in those tires, really trying to grip on. As we head into turn 2 and up onto the second half of the bank, he's able to hold onto it just nice. Flopster is a part of Team Wheelhouse Racing with 26 points overall for the season, sitting in P12 across Friday and Saturday for Division A. Last round, he had a P6 and a P6 in round 2 as well, and a P8 in round 1. You can find him on YouTube at Robert6198. As Flopster is leaving the infield of Blue Moon Bay, everything is looking rather nice for the VIP driver. And it looks like he's getting a little bit of understeer on that one, but is able to keep it pointed in the right direction. Now, if you do see these drivers scrape the wall, yes, they will not achieve too much damage, but it will still slow them down. And a Group 4 car is not really prided and known for its acceleration, so driving as neat as possible is still going to be of the utmost priority. Let's see how Flopster goes across the line. He's down a little over 1/100th of a second, so he's currently sitting 2/100ths of a second ahead of Dark and Azrael and 4/100ths of a second behind Alicos, but we still got a little under 3 minutes, so there's time for that to change. I also do see a $20 donation from Gadget Guy X. Gadget Guy says, for the great racers of the Naughty Racing League, thank you so very much for your generous support as well, Gadget. It is a pleasure to see you here rather frequently, and it's a pleasure for us to bring you such top quality racing and entertainment. Taking a look over at S7R's Detrusium, who's currently sitting with a personal best lap of a 1:13.077. P1 to P8 is less than half a second apart. Hubbard, this is absolutely insane to see. But before you get on to that, Horn of Plenty has also donated $10. Said, I forgot to tell McNaughty to keep my entry, LOL, so here you go. I will relay the message to the man behind the curtain. So thank you very much, Horn, and hopefully you will enjoy this semifinal round of racing for Division A. Now, as we see the True Serum coming across the line, he's only 0.03 of a second behind Bacon Dance. Can he shake it up and change that? Doesn't appear to be the case, but we still got a little under 2 minutes left. But back to you, Hover. We've been seeing quite the tight grid for this qualifying session. Do you think we'll see the race follow suit?
I think so. You know, these cars aren't the hardest to drive, right? But it's more of a balancing game. They have to balance the tire wear, right? Make sure that their tires are going to go the distance. And then they're going to have to balance all the battles that are going to happen around them. It's going to be very much like the previous races with the NSX, right? It's going to be a balancing game. Make sure you still keep yourself in the race, but you got to pick your battles very, very neatly, or else you're going to fall to the bottom of the grid.
Yes, you are definitely going to have to pick these battles very meticulously, and you're going to have to treat it as it's definitely going to be a tricky situation for some of these drivers, as we see Moose going purple by 0.04 of a second. As Moose rounds out this lap in the last 45 seconds of this qualifying session, we have another donation, $20 from S7R Sleepy. Vector 7 represent LOL. Good luck, everybody. Thank you so much, Sleepy, and yeah, Hover, any words you'd like to share to your S7R teammate?
Thank you, Sleepy, for that donation. Hopefully it gets spread to the S7R members, but if not, it will be spread to these wonderful drivers.
And there we go. We love to see it. Everybody coming out showing some love and some companionship for each other, their fellow racers, their fellow motorsports enthusiasts. You just can't beat that. You won't find that anywhere else. Now, as we take a look at Darken Azriel, as the timer ticks down to 0, he is currently about 0.02 of a second in qualifying time behind Flopster, and is, what is that, 0.007 of a second ahead of Bacon Dance? That is a blink and you'll miss it gap between those three drivers, folks. So there's definitely quite a bit of implications there if he can shave off any time. As we take a look at Left to Pass You, who is going to be coming across the line. Will he be making any changes? It does not appear to be so. So it looks like he will be finishing right there. And as we take a look at Moose, who is currently leading the charge with a 112.619, he is 0.06 of a second ahead of a higher place, and it looks like he's really found his rhythm. Will he be able to improve on the time at all? It does not appear to be so. So Moose will take pole position for this race, unless any last-second miracles come into play. And as I say that, Wid takes pole position. So Wid will take pole position at the absolute last moment with a insane time. Let's go and take a look at what happened here. So Wid is keeping the car in a straight line, minimizing overall distance traveled, and is able to set a 112.467. Honestly, I should have seen it coming, but wow, that is just impressive. NRL never disappoints, folks. I'm just chuffed to be here. So, as this winds down, Leo, what are your thoughts on what we saw for this qualifying session?
You know, about what I expected. These guys did bring out everything they could. I'm interested in asking these guys if they're used to these cars by now, if they're a fan of them. Because it looks like they are, because they're all not far on the time table.
That's very true, and let's see how close they really are. So taking pole position with the last-minute upset will be S7R's Wid with a 112.467 qualifying time, dethroning Moose 21, who had held pole position for 99.9% of that qualifying session with a 112.619. Coming in only not even 0.03 of a second behind him, rounding out our top three and starting row 2 will be Flobster with a 112.654, and coming in not even 0.03 of a second behind him in row 4 or row 2 will be a higher place. Starting row 3 will be Alikos with the 112.798, followed by Darken Azriel. We'll have Bacon Dance starting row 4 with the 113.040, and he will be accompanied by F7R to True Serum. Making our way over into row 5, we'll have VIP Left to Pass You with a 113.361, followed by Drobo with him. And then starting in row 6 will be Shred and Negative Waves. And since looks like they did not qualify. We'll have to speculate on what they will be bringing to the table in this semifinal round. But if Division B is anything to go off of, we're going to be seeing quite a bit of stuff happening. We've got a close grid. We've got touring cars. Once again, can't stress this enough. We just have to hope they don't treat it like IRL touring car racing. This is a no-contact league, so everybody please show a little bit of restraint. But with all of that said, Hovercraft, any predictions?
I think we're going to really have to expect Negative Waves and Shred to go up towards the field, right? They had a quali ban going into this round, but that doesn't mean that they don't have the pace to back up a good result. Shred in a nicer position to get himself into the finals, standing on 33 points, but Negative Waves is the one that needs a little bit of a boost in terms of points, with only 18 points currently. So these two, while definitely in with a shout, they still have to get a good result by the end of the race to see themselves into the finals.
Yes, they do need to get a good result, and they will also have to be keeping a very close eye on what's going to be happening tomorrow for Saturday's Division A race. So they won't be able to breathe a sigh of relief come the overall standings post race. Leo, do you have any predictions?
You know, I see a lot of closeness at the very beginning of the race. That is going to determine how everybody falls in line. That probably if anything happens, it would probably throw people's strategy out the window, and they're going to have to do something completely different. May see somebody go for the no stopper, like we were talking. There's so many different things that could be at play that it's hard to say one or the other.
Yeah, you're right. And strategy really will be the defining factor for this. Yes, everybody is close on paper in terms of qualifying time, but at the end of the day, your race strategy is going to be probably even, I'd say actually, it'd be about as instrumental to your overall success as your consistency. But we're going to have to see who goes where, when the pit stops will start coming in, and also see what strategies everybody goes on. We might see no stoppers, we might see one stopper. Somebody might pull a rabbit out of a hat and pull a two stopper with success. We'll just have to wait and see as these cars are getting lined up on the grid as we speak. So we are just moments away from the determining factor on where our Friday Division A racers will land in terms of the overall standings. And they are lining up. Everybody is ready to go. There is pretty much the entire world on the line for these drivers. Cars are revving their engines, lights are on, nobody's jumping the line, and away we go for the semi-final round for Friday Division A. Looks like it's going to be a good start for Wade, but I highly suspect Moose is going to be trying to put a lot of pressure on the S7R driver. As they're coming their way through turn one, looks like Moose runs a little wide, and Wade will be leading the charge into turn two as they make that sharp elevation change. Flopster will take P2 and currently has about a half a second deficit between himself and S7R Wade. Making our way through turn 3 and 4. Looks like Flopster has closed the gap just a little bit so far. And it looks like Wade might not be able to breathe a sigh of relief anytime soon, especially with the slipstream of these cars. As they are trying to make it 3 abreast coming out into the hairpin, it looks like he wasn't able to get into too much trouble though, so Wade can, calm his heart rate a little bit, but Flopster is right there, and it looks like might be eyeballing the inside line to get back on out of the infield. Doesn't appear that will be the case though, as Wid is still leading the charge, and it looks like Flopster will be using all that beautiful slipstream as he can coming around onto the start-finish straight. Now it looks like Flopster might be giving a bit of a bump draft to Wid, maybe putting a little bit of a gap. No, I stand corrected. Flopster is going to try and go too wide with S7R Wid as they come across the line and drag race into turn one. Who has the overspeed at the moment? It looks like Flopster carried enough momentum to be able to take the inside line and capitalize on it. That will put Wade into the clutches of MMR Moose 21 as they go too wide coming up into turn 2 and 3. Looks like Flopster's going to try and pull away as best as possible, but looks like Moose is just inching out a P2. But due to having the inside line, Wid will now take P2 back, and they're going to be playing a little game of cat and mouse as Alico throws his hat into this ring as they go 3 abreast towards the tail end of the infield. As they go up into turn 5, it looks like Moose will take P2 off of Wid, but will that remain the case? We'll have to see. Going up into turn 6, Moose is going to hold on to the inside line and try and fend off Wid et al. As we take a look at a higher place who is knee-deep in this conga line of cars, it's only a 2.25 second gap, about 2.5 now, between P5 and P1. So we're going to be seeing these guys going absolutely insane, trying to get as many positions on track as possible. Looks like Alicos is trying to dethrone Wid right now for that last step on the podium, and he is successful for the time being, but Wid will have the inside line. Alicos does have the slipstream from Moose, though, to help assist him as they come up into turn 1. They're going to be too wide, and it looks like Wid had a little bit more speed into turn 1. Getting a little squirrely for Alicos, but it looks like they're able to hold on by. Oh, and we've got some drama in the back. A car loses control coming up onto the bank of turn 2. That was unfortunate to see. I couldn't catch who it was, though. Keep an eye on Alicos in the middle of all of this, who is currently about 1/4 second behind a higher place and only a little over 1/10 ahead of Azriel. So these drivers are going to stay bunched up for as long as humanly possible because they're going to try and benefit off of each other. As we go and take a look at the instant replay, it looks like it was a higher place who is coming in and coming off the bank, coming through turn 1. Heading up towards turn 2. Let's see what happens here. Oh, it was Bacon Dance. My apologies. Looks like Bacon Dance got a little squirrely and fell back into P10 after that contact with the wall. They were so close. One mishap cost them 4 positions. Now, Leo, before I kick it over to you, I do want to quickly mention we have a 1999 donation from the AOJ. Shout out to Infinite Octane Racing and the other racers leaving it all out there at the moon. Thank you so much, AOJ, for your generous support. The support we've seen from all of you tonight has been absolutely mind-blowing and very humbling. Thank you all so very much. We are flattered for all of you that are here with us tonight. Now, taking a look at S7R Wid, who is sitting in P3. He's about 1/2 second behind Moose at the moment and only 1/4 second ahead of his teammate in a higher place. So maybe we'll see the S7R drivers cooperate with each other and try and catch up and probably go for a 1-2 finish. We'll have to see as this race carries on. But it looks like Wid is leaving a higher place in the dust a little bit and is slowly catching up to Moose. The gap between Wid and Flopster right now is almost 3 seconds at this current juncture. So it's really a guessing game. Now, Leo, since we are on a speedway, I believe they're referred to in terms of NASCAR racing, the pit stops here actually aren't that long, are they?
No, I want to say they're around 25 to 30 seconds long. I didn't quite catch that in my testing. Usually by the time I was done testing, my tires were fried and I just automatically went to the pits. So I did not get a chance to check that out, but that is my general guess of how long it would take.
Understood. Now, Hover, as we are 5 laps in, let's do a quick analysis. What did some of our drivers start on?
You know, it's a very interesting spread across the field, right? Our race leader currently, Flopster, is on the mediums, while Moose and Wid and Higher are all on the hards. So we're seeing a very interesting switch in strategy at the moment. A few different drivers down the field as well. Alica's on the mediums. Dark and Azriel on the mediums as well. It's going to be basically kind of a kangaroo kind of effect, right? Everyone is going to be using a different set of tires currently and with a different strategy in mind. We're expecting the hards to go for a no-stop strategy, while the mediums are going to be forced to pit at some point during the race.
Indeed. Thank you very much for the analysis, Hover. And it looks like no stops will be aplenty for some of these drivers, or at least attempted no stop. As we take a look at a higher place who was side by side with Alicos at the start-finish line coming into turn 1. Making our way into turn 2. He's just about 1/10 behind Alicos at the moment, but they are still within earshot of Moose and Wid. So it is anybody's game right now, folks. And yes, Flopster is on the mediums, so he is in the lead by quite a margin, but it's only a matter of time before he has to go into the box. We'll have to hope he has the overall gap between himself and the rest of the field to get a free pit stop a la Corridor Division B. As we near the tail end of the infield, it's looking pretty tight so far for the grid. Everybody's really giving it what they can and staying with their fellow driver. This is the beauty of touring car racing, folks. We're 6 laps in and everybody is still bunched up. So it's anybody's game, and one penalty could cost you, well, definitely more than one position, depending on where you are at on the grid. As we take a look at Negative Waves, who is about half a second behind Azriel and is about 3/4 of a second ahead of Troop Serum, still within slipstream range, mind you. They are coming up towards the start-finish line to start lap 8 and go into turn 1 for the 8th or 7th time of asking, my apologies. And it looks like Negative Waves is going to try and carry as much momentum as possible. That elevation change really unsettling the car for some of these drivers. Now, Negative Waves is a free agent, has 18 points overall, currently sitting in P16 for Division A. His last 3 race results were a P5 in round 3, a P11 in round 2, and a P9 in round 1. So Negative Waves could definitely use some points to help better his shot at getting into the finals. But all in all, he is doing some fantastic racing right here with Dark and Azriel, and also with Truth right behind him. So it's anybody's game, folks. It's going to be too hard to tell how this is going to shape up until that checkered flag drops. As they are hitting the end of the infield and getting back onto the proper speedway to round out lap 7. Negative Waves is doing what he can to try and keep up with P6 and 5, but it looks like Truth has decided to find a little extra horsepower and is now going to be side by side with Negative Waves and carries a little extra overspeed to get the overtake done, and Negative Waves will slot right in behind him. Maybe we'll see a leapfrog effect. It's too soon to tell, but Negative Waves' front right tire is definitely showing a little wear on it. That's, you know, the nature of racing on these circuits. Now taking a look at a higher place in P6, who is right behind Dark and Azriel and has Truth really eyeballing a good position to make an overtake. Higher place is going to be sitting at about 1/4 of a second to 3/10, 3/4 of a second to 3/10, my apologies, behind Dark and Azriel, and is about a little under half a second ahead of the True Serum. So it's all going to be about hitting your apexes, getting onto that throttle at the right time, and not understeering your car too much, lest it slow you down and cost you a position to a opportunistic driver behind you. As we see a higher place and Truth getting ready to exit the infield and get back onto the speedway, will Truth be able to carry any momentum and get past a higher place like he did to Negative Waves? We'll just have to wait and see. Now taking a look over at Moose, who is side by side with Wid and is currently behind Alikos at the moment. Looks like Wid does have the overspeed and will get past Moose in a walking pace. So that will put Moose into P4, and that will leave Dark and Azriel in P5, ready to strike on Moose at the earliest sign of a misplay. Coming into turn 1, and it looks like Azriel is trying to keep a close eye on Moose. Moose, though, keeping the inside as much as possible to get as much rotation and avoid any nonsense from the elevation change getting onto the speedway for turn 2. Now as Moose comes in through turns 3 and 4, it looks like he's going to be eyeballing Wid and trying to set up a possible overtake or a send, or he could honestly just be waiting for the speedway to hit and try and get him there as Wid did to him. As we make our way into turn 6, and Moose gets really close to Wid, but has to get on the brakes a little hard, which will give Dark and Azriel the opportunity to try and contest him for that P4. But it doesn't look like Moose is going to give up any ground for the time being. Kept that inside line, drove very defensively as if it was a bank vault level of keeping that door closed. And onto the speedway we go. Dark and Azriel is ready to try and make a move on Moose, and Wid is pulling away slowly but surely. The gap is about 0.6 of a second. And honestly, it looks like Azriel is going to try and go side by side and try and have the inside line for turn 1 as they are barreling down the speedway right now. Coming up towards turn 1 at the start of lap 10, Azriel does have the overlap, so the inside line is his, and Moose will take the outside and try and go for a cutback maneuver from the looks of it. Azriel getting a little squirrely on the elevation change, and Moose was not able to make a move happen getting back onto the banks. Coming up into turn 2, looks like Moose will be holding on for dear life to keep up with Azrael, and Azrael has Wid deep in his sights. So I think Azrael is going to try and capitalize on as much slipstream as possible. And Leo, at this rate, what do you do if you're Moose? You've been overtaken a few times, and I know there are some tire discrepancies with Azrael being on the mediums, but Wid and Moose are on the hards going for a no-stop strategy. So do you stress it too much, or do you just let everything play out as it should, as we see the Truth Serum make an overtake on Moose towards the tail end of the infield? So as they are rounding the hairpin and heading up towards the exit of the infield, looks like Truth was able just to slip on in for the double apex and get P5 off of Moose's hands, which looks like Truth is also on the medium. So back to my question. If you're running on the hards and you're going for a no-stop strategy, do you stress getting overtaken on the speedway and in some of these corners, or do you just let it play out because you know you're not going to have to pit?
Well, you know, that was actually what I was thinking of. I was getting in the mindset, Moose is probably just letting it happen, you know, fall back a little bit. Don't fight as much. With these front-wheel drive cars, you're letting it pull you out of the corner. So if you're throttling out everywhere, it's going to burn them up, those tires. So he's probably just kind of sitting back, letting it all happen, maybe getting the tire temps down a little bit, and he'll really show what he can do towards the end of the race when he's got more tire than everybody else.
You know, you're absolutely right. Now, I do want to pose a strategy question to Hovercraft. Do you think it's in Truth's best interest right now, Hover, to stay within the slipstream of Azrael? Or do you think he should try and go for an overtake and risk wearing out his tires a little more? Because he does have the tire advantage against his teammate in Wid as well as Moose and a couple other drivers. But the mediums seem to be holding on rather well. We're halfway through the race, and honestly, those mediums are... they're in pristine shape, all things considered. So what do you think it would be in Truth's best interest right now?
You know, it's very interesting going through the tires of all these competitors, and I'm going to tell you this, too. Some of these competitors on the mediums have better tires than those on the hard. Truth, on the mediums, a softer compound has better tire wear than Wid on the hard, so it's definitely in the best interest of these two teammates to swap positions, let Truth go and run those mediums a lot faster, because eventually he is going to need a pit. Those final few laps are going to be so slow for him, even if the tire has 30-40% of life in it, just because of how much the car relies on that front run. It's a front-wheel drive car on a counterclockwise circuit. He's going on the inside. I think the swap is going to happen right now.
And it looks, speaking of swaps, it looks like Flopster has gone off the pits. Will it be a medium strat? We will have to wait and see. But that will put Truth into P3, Azrael into P2, Alicos as our race leader for the time being, with Wid in P4, Moose rounding out our top 5, a higher place in 6. So it's looking pretty good for Alicos at the moment. But yeah, his front right is showing a little bit of age on it, and it is actually baffling to see that some of the drivers on mediums have better tire life than the drivers on the hards. It honestly has to be reevaluating what I think of overall race strategy and tire compounds, because I genuinely was not expecting that. So hats off to these drivers for being able to preserve the tires, and I'm sure brake balance does play a factor in some regards, so we'll just have to see how that all transpires. Now, taking a look at Shred, who is a free agent, currently sitting with 33 points overall in P9 for Division A across both days. Last 3 results was last round was a P9, round 2 was a P5, and finished in P2 in round 1. So Shred does seem to be in a good position, but any extra points will definitely be to his benefit. As he comes across the line to start lap 14, we are over halfway done with this race, and these guys are far from done. Getting really close to a higher place. It looks like Shred was carrying quite a bit of speed. but it looks like was able to avoid any contact with a higher place, so great show of wherewithal from Shred. Now, it looks like a higher place will be slamming the door shut to try and defend his P6, which I do not blame him in the slightest for. Coming towards the kink in the infield, it's looking like a higher place is going to be trying to soldier on ahead and catch up to Moose. Now, a higher place is on the racing hard tires, so he's not going to have to worry about any potential pit stops once the tire life starts running a little lower for these other drivers. Now, if you are the likes of Moose or Wid, who are currently duking it out, I think they're probably sitting here waiting for the pit stops to start rolling in, because then the positions are just going to start flying in. And honestly, it's going to be interesting to see how this shakeup happens once the pit stops start rolling in. Or we could be seeing a driver on the mediums going for a potential no-stopper, which would be interesting, trust me, but I don't think it would be wise given the advice that Hover had given us a little bit ago. So we're just gonna have to see how it goes. And it looks like we've got Moose trying to keep up with Wid. The gap though is about 3/4 of a second, and I don't know if he's just trying to get into a rhythm or what may be happening. But as we jump on board with the Truth Serum, who is currently a second ahead of his S7R teammate and is only a half second behind Azriel, this is going to be quite interesting to see if Truth can close the gap and get a P2. A little late on the brakes to get right up on Azriel. What will the IORT driver do in response? Doesn't look like he will be doing anything at the moment. And coming towards the tail end of the infield, looks like Truth is going to be trying to keep up to him and also Alikos, who, Alikos, I might add, is doing a magnificent job just staying in front. It is quite impressive to see. Wouldn't you agree, Leo?
Indeed. He's doing a great job of that. I am also very impressed with these guys keeping their tires together like they are.
Honestly, I am too, because I don't expect that from a front-engine, front-wheel drive car. It's normally a very tire-hungry machine. Now, I do see over in the chat from C. Womack, it says the biggest factor is these are front-wheel drive cars, so they require the drivers to use different steering technique to get good times and control the tire wear. And honestly, there is something to be said about that I never even considered. And Hover, speaking of these driving techniques and also tire preservation, what are these lap times looking like as a result from all of these factors in terms of the tires and the way these drivers have to drive these cars?
So currently, Flopster, Bacon Dance, and Negative Waves, and Drobos, the bottom four of the field, have taken a pit stop. Flopster, Bacon, and Negative Waves are all, basically the bottom four, are all running faster laps than the compatriots up ahead. Depending on the comparison, it could be at minimum half a second a lap faster. On the more extreme end, these guys are running a full second faster than the guys ahead. So as we see, Azriel takes a nose down the inside, but Roof was able to cover it off at the apex. Going back to Flopster, he is running extremely fast laps, and he's not going to run out of steam by the end of the race. These guys are going to have to keep an eye on him.
Oh, without a shadow of a doubt, yeah. Truth getting that overtake done, absolutely great to see. And it looks like Truth is starting to close the gap between himself and Alikos just a smidge, because the gap is now only 1 3/4 of a second. So I think they're starting to rein in Alikos as his front right tire is below half life. So it looks like your words of caution are coming true, oh wise prophet Hovercraft. As these times are starting to become a little detrimental for Alikos, it looks like the softs may be in order for this one, because, well, honestly, in your opinion, Hovercraft, do the drivers have enough time to bounce back out of the pits on softs to try and reclaim any position that they were in? Or do you think the opportunity for that may be coming and going as we speak?
At this point, if they take a pit stop, they are going to lose so much time to and Flopster is just going to run away with the win. They wouldn't have enough laps to be able to counteract the undercut that Flopster has been able to gain. So at this rate, unless they are willing to go into the pits and risk a softs, which isn't really even strong enough to be able to last till the end of the race, they are not going to be able to recover that time against Flopster. Their only option is to stick it out till the very end on their current set of tires.
Thank you very much, Hubbard. We are 3/4 of the way through this race, and for those of you just tuning in for identification, Tune with Leo and Hovercraft here. It is a privilege to have your company here this evening, as we are looking at our Division A semi-final race. We are looking at a higher place, who is currently a little over half a second behind Shred in P6 and has an 8.5 second lead over Flopster. But Flopster is on the pressure set of mediums and is trying to chip away at that gap as much as humanly possible in these last 6 laps. As we jump on over to Moose 21, who is a little over half a second behind S7R Wid. It is interesting to see Wid and Moose somewhere other than the top 2 right now, given the fact that these drivers in P1, 2, and 3 are on a faster compound. Now, the pit stops have not come in yet, and honestly, with 5 laps remaining, I'm not sure if the pit stops will come in. Moose does get a little squirrely coming up onto the bank for the tail end of turn 1. Coming into turn 2, he is going to send it in for turn 3 as well. Making our way into turn 4, the gap between Wid and Moose has increased ever so slightly. Oh, I beg your pardon. It looks like it has actually dropped. No, it's actually gone up. So the gap is almost a whole second between Wid and Moose, but it looks like Wid missed his braking points just a hair, and that will let Moose rein him on in for at least a moment or two. So as they come through the double apex towards the tail end of the infield, it's looking like Moose is closing that gap and will be trying to get even closer within the next 5 laps of this race. As we take a look at a higher place, who did have a little interesting moment with Shred. Looks like Shred may have gotten close to the wall and definitely picked up some damage. He has front wheel damage on both sides and front aero damage. Let's see what happened here. All right, as they're leaving the tail end of the infield and getting ready to get back onto the speedway, let's see what went wrong with Shred. He turns in, and it looks like he turned in just a hair too soon and clips the wall on the left, and that bounces him out to the right and receives damage on both wheels and the front bumper. That is tragic to see for Shred, and it is heavy damage, so unless he goes into the box, he's going to have that damage for the remainder of the race. It is a case of a rock and a hard place for this driver. Wouldn't you agree, Leo?
I definitely would. I was just thinking that is going to be probably the dangerous part of the track coming onto the speedway. If you misjudge that corner, you're either smacking the barrier and it's going to ping pong you all the way out to the other one like we saw with Shred, or you're going to pick up a penalty. Unfortunately, the latter happened to Shred.
Unfortunately, that was the case. As we are nearing the tail end, it looks like Dark and Azrael clips the wall as well, but doesn't receive any damage. It just slowed him down a little bit. That will give the True Serum a little bit more breathing room, but with the slipstream being the way it is, it looks like that Azrael is going to try and strike back with a vengeance for his own little faux pas there. As they are going too wide towards the tail end of the start-finish straight, it looks like it is all Azrael at the moment. They are too wide coming in towards the tail end of turn 1. It looks like Truth may have carried a little extra speed. I'm not sure. They are separated by half a tenth of a second right now, folks. As they come up into turn 2 and turn 3, Truth had the inside line, but now the cards sway in Azrael's favor. Azrael is now about a quarter of a second ahead of Truth, so well done to Azrael for getting the overtake done when he did. But it looks like he is far from out of the woods, because it looks like Moose is rather close behind as well and is ready to start battling for the steps on the podium with Wid. So as we've got a 4-way shootout for P2, we've only got 3 laps left to go, folks, and the tires for the Truth Serum are looking very much worse for wear. So that is going to definitely inhibit his turning ability, especially getting onto some of these corners. So as Azrael tries to fend off 3 other drivers, how will he do it? And it looks like Truth's tires are going to be working against him as we approach the antepenultimate lap. And it looks like the gap is closing, though, so maybe Truth will be able to get an overtake done and make fending off Wid and Moose Azrael's problem. Doesn't appear to be the case at this moment, though, as they get off of the speedway real quick into turn 1. And as they move back towards it, this could unsettle the car, and with the tire grip the way it is, it could spell imminent doom. But these drivers are unfazed by it because they are world-class drivers, folks. As we make our way through the infield, Azriel is currently ahead of Truth by about half a second, but now Truth has to fend off his S7R teammate in Wid. There is only a 0.3 of a second gap between himself and his teammate. And it looks like Moose is all over the bumper of Wid as well. So this could spell a 2-for-1 special in the wrong direction for Truth if things do not go absolutely perfect for him. As Truth is trying to keep up with Azriel and get the overtake done to get a body between himself and the other two aforementioned drivers, what will Truth do as he gets onto the speedway? Looks like he's able to get through without any drama, and away we go. Looks like we're keeping everything in nice, neat fashion. Slipstream is now the name of the game. Tire wear is definitely a huge factor here, but this slipstream between Truth and also Azriel is starting to come into play. Honestly, we might be seeing these two have a drag race for the next lap and a half. We don't know. We'll just have to see how it shakes up. It is now a game of tug-of-war between Truth and Azriel, bouncing between P2 and P3, but who is going to have the overall edge? Right now, it's looking like Azriel because he does have the inside line, and he capitalizes on it. There's a little bit of overlap, and it looks like Wid will squeeze on in too, which means now he's got to deal with Moose behind him. And what will Truth do as a retort? He is going for the no-stop strategy on the mediums, and honestly, we've got medium, hard between these drivers, and it's actually rather interesting. A little contact between the S7R drivers, a little bit of a nudge, but it looks like no real drama to be had. That's going to slow down Wid, and that's going to put Moose in prime opportunity to strike. And it looks like they'll be trading some paint and some pleasantries as they start exiting the infield, and Moose now has some overlap on Wid. It is going to be a three-way battle for that last stop on the podium unless they start cooperating and start trying to catch back up to Azriel. The gap between P3 and Azriel is currently a little over 3/4 of a second. We are at the 8/10 territory. Actually, we might be approaching the 9/10 category. So it's looking like it's going to be a three-way shootout for that last step of the podium. Who wants it more? Who is going to put together the perfect lap? Wid is using the slipstream from Moose to try and slingshot on by to a resounding success. Moose takes the inside line, goes for a little bit of rally crossing, and will Moose try and strike back? Will they slow each other down? Will Truth be able to pull off and hold on to P3? We're going to have to wait and see next time on Dragon Ball Z. I'm just kidding. This is the NRL, folks. As we see Wid coming through and now has the inside line on his teammate into Truth Serum. Will he be able to hold on to it, or is Truth going to be able to find a little extra go-go and keep on trucking along at P3? It looks like Truth does miss his breaking point, though. That's going to give Wid the P3. Oh, I stand corrected. These two are really battling it out. Hover, you're an S7R guy. Who are you rooting for here between these two? Only one of them can have the podium.
As long as these two stay ahead, but Moose is giving a very hard fight against the two S7R members, getting sandwiched in between them too and taken away.
Yes, as we are nearing the final end of this race, they are on the bank. It is a drag race for plenty of these drivers as Alikos takes P1 in dominant fashion. Azriel was able to break free and take P2. Looks like the Truth Serum will be our victor on the battle for the final step of the podium. As we take a look at Flopster coming across, taking P7 with VIP left to pass you, taking P8. Coming across the line for P8 and taking a look at Shred, who will comfortably take P9. P10 will fall into the hands of Bacon Dance. As we take a look at P11, looks like it will be all Drobo for that one, with Negative Waves bringing up our drivers and drifting across the line. Well done, Negative Waves. And that was a unexpected result to this race, I'll be honest with you. But congratulations to Alikos for the clean race and jumping a staggering 4 positions to go from P5 to race victor. Those 25 points are going to be very much very well received by Alikos. But before we get into our interviews and all of our post-race celebrations and congratulations, let's go and take a look at those provisional classified results. So, taking the overall race victory will be Alikos, who once again jumped 4 positions with an overall race time of 29 minutes, 58 seconds, .113. He was followed by Darken Azrael in P2 and Detrucium rounding out our podium. And before I continue on with that, just to make sure, Hover, those were all medium runners, weren't they?
Let's see with my notes. Alucas was on the mediums. Azrael also on the mediums. Truth on the mediums. The first hard runner was Wade, with Moose also running the hards. Higher Place also running the hards. So it seemed like the mediums was the best strategy today.
Yep, and it was a sight to behold. And since you did cover P4, 5, and 6, we will go and take a look at Flopster in P7, followed by VIP Left to Pass You in P8. Nobody up there has the fastest lap. That honor goes to Shred in P9. Since he was within the top 10, he will get that bonus point for holding the fastest lap with a 112.722. Rounding out our top 10 is going to be Bacon Dance, followed by Drobo and Negative Waves, rounding out our finishers for this Division A semifinal Friday race. Good gravy. Good grief, good gravy, goodness gracious me, oh my. What a sight we just witnessed. What were your thoughts on what we just experienced, Leo?
Well, we expected close racing from touring cars, and we definitely got it. There was certain points where these guys were making moves that I questioned whether it was going to end badly or good for them, and they kept it clean, and it was very exciting enough to throw me off a couple of times.
Yeah, exciting was an understatement. That was adrenaline pumping, edge of your seat action, just like I stated at the beginning of this program. It's just, my goodness, you just can't beat it. But let's go and get a word in with our podium finishers, starting with S7R's Detrucium. Truth, you fought valiantly to hold off the seemingly unbeatable Wid for that last step of the podium. What was it like having him all over your bumper and having to contend with such worn out medium tires the entire time?
Yeah, it's stressful, and also gives you flashbacks to a few seasons ago where I tried that crazy no stop, and I had no tires, and I ended up putting Wid in the wall. So I was like, oh my god, let's not have a repeat. But also, like, Wid's like a pretty good friend on the team with me, so it's like we're helping each other out. And I was just thinking, it's like, okay, we've all helped each other out. Sorry, bro. Now it's time to go.
Yeah, so at some point you kind of just hit the point of, I know we're friends and everything, but I want this podium. Bye.
Yeah, exactly.
Happy to hear that. Let's go over to you, Leo. Do you have any questions for Truth?
Yeah, of course. Congratulations again, Truth. I feel like I've seen you here a few times, more than usual, which is great to see. I guess my question is, like, how did you like the car? Are you a fan of front-wheel drive cars now?
No, I don't like front wheel drive cars, but I do like tire races though. So, and this was a tire race, so that I did like, and I'm usually not too bad at Group 4 as well. So that went well.
Yeah, we saw that you figured out how to keep the tires under you. We were all thinking that the hards were going to be the way to go just because of previous cars and how they primarily chew up the tires on a front-wheel drive car. But you proved us wrong in running the mediums the entire time, which was fantastic to see. I don't know how you did it, because by lap 21, I was thinking you were going to run out of tire again.
Yeah, it was not easy. It was difficult, and it required all the different tricks in my bag. And it's made particularly difficult by the fact that the torque tire, it was the front, like the drive tire, and it's the steering tire, and you're trying to keep it alive, so it makes it like especially difficult. But I practiced like a particular driving style. I was taking different lines in different places, and I was able to make it work. So.
Well, excellent. Well, congratulations again. I'll kick it
Thank you.
over to Hovercraft.
Truth, a wonderful podium. I'm glad I have the opportunity to speak to you. You know, great performance today. The P8, qualifying position, maybe not the greatest that you've had this season, but you were able to make it work with a wonderful no stop in the mediums. But I wanted to ask you, when Flopster was kind of running away at the beginning of the race, and then he went into the pit stops, do you think he was someone to be concerned about? Were you kind of put under pressure, or he stayed in the back of your mind with that one stop strategy? What were you thinking with that action?
Yeah, what I was mostly thinking was, as long as I keep it under kind of 10 seconds when people go to the pit, to the leader, and that somebody else on a no stop didn't run away from me, as long as I had everybody, as long as I had the pit people within 10 seconds and any other no stopper within kind of 4 or 5 seconds, I was confident that I could compete at the top. So when I saw that, like, there was nobody like way out in front, I thought, okay, I have a chance. But the hardest part was just like, you still have to get through traffic. And then also, as you saw with Azrael, like at the end, I'm guessing he was on the hards, because like I knew that I may be able to get past people, but then I would be coming back to some people at the end, which would be difficult, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Just to let you know, Azrael was on the medium, same tire as you, top 3, all mediums. But
Wow.
regardless, you still had a wonderful performance, and I'm glad to see you sneak in a podium on the final round, because this basically clinches you a spot in the finals.
That's great. Did they pit? I didn't even notice.
They didn't.
Nope.
All of
They
you
did?
guys a no stop on the medium.
Oh, okay. So they figured it out. Good for those guys. Okay.
Congratulations, Truth.
Thank you.
Yes, congratulations, Truth. Hopefully, you will be paying close attention to those standings both tonight and tomorrow. And let's go and have a word with the first of 2 IORT drivers. Azrael, you had quite the race. So, as it was alluded to, the Hards were the odds-on favorite for the no-stopper. And you, as well as your other 2 podium finishers, all did no stoppers on the mediums. How did you go about finding a way to conserve your tire life for 24 laps of, just circuit racing with an infield elevation changes, high banks where your right tire is going to be tortured to beyond its limit?
Yeah, wow, that was quite a race. You might as well interview Alicos and me together, because we're going to have probably the same thing to say. We figured out this strategy where we could do a no stop. It was either one stop on softs, we could do that, but we found the no stop on medium was faster. And we the whole time were wondering if anyone else. We assumed more people were going to be doing that, but we saw a lot of people on hards. And we figured, okay, they're going to do a hard no stop, and we're going to have an advantage for a bit of the race, and at the end, not so much. But Truth actually answered a question that I had in the race: was did he figure out the same thing that we did? And turns out he did, so that confirmed my suspicion. I qualified mid-pack. I had to fight through all those hard runners, very fast hard runners, and managed to do that and then defend for my life, up to the end.
Yeah, you guys definitely found the secret sauce to getting the mediums to last you the entire race, and you threw not only our expectations out the window, but clearly your fellow drivers' expectations out the window. So nothing but praise and congratulations to you guys for being able to make it work the way you did. Hover, do you have any questions for Azrael?
Yeah, I mean, as you pointed out, you and Alicos basically you, Alicos, and Truth ran the same strategy, and both of you are on the same team. So how are you feeling going into the finals? Because you were standing on 22 points before this race, nabbing 18 points provisionally. Of course, should nab you 40 on the board, so that does give you a good shot going into the finals. How are you feeling if you do make it in for the next week?
Yeah, this will be my second time making it to the finals, and this is one of the best leagues in Gran Turismo, period. So I'm really happy to be a part of it. and make it this far again. So I'm looking forward to it and finding out what crazy shit McNaughty's going to throw at us next week.
Yes, he does. He does like to sprinkle in a bit of chaos to the race settings. But congratulations, congratulations, Azriel. I'm glad to see you do a wonderful performance tonight. I really do hope to see you in the finals. And I'll pass it over to Leo.
Well, congratulations on P2 there. My question, you said you kind of started mid-pack. Did you know at the very beginning of the race, like, I've got to get through this to make it to the end?
My primary concern was saving tires. I knew we couldn't really fight. You couldn't push too hard. So I was just trying to keep pace, with those faster guys. I mean, like Wid, he's insanely fast, right? I mean, I was just keeping up with him was a good goal, but I had opportunities to pass him, and I just took it. So it let me get up to the top.
Gotcha. Also, gotta ask the question, are you a fan of front-wheel drive cars?
No.
Ah. I see this is going to be a common thing.
Yeah, that's going to be a common thing. But thank you so much for your time, Azriel. Congratulations on the P2. I'm sure those 18 points are very well received. And hopefully that sets you in prime position to go back-to-back on making it to the finals, where we'll see, we'll see you work some magic. So I'm waiting with bated breath to see how that shakes up.
Cool, thank you.
All right. Now it's time we have a talk with the man of the hour, our Division A on Friday race winner, Alikos. Alikos, my goodness, you, Azriel, and Truth were able to defy expectations in making the mediums last an entire race. So my question for you is, did brake balance play a huge factor in conserving your tire life, or was it more of just careful driving and careful steering inputs?
Yeah, it was definitely a factor. I have to give credit to Azriel. He's the one who found this strategy. When we started practicing for this, I didn't understand how he was getting the tires so far. Like, I'm sure you guys were probably looking at that the same way in the stream. I was like, how is that possible? And then I had to go and watch everything back, and I was like, okay, put some brake balance on. And the big thing was just take it super easy in any of these longer corners, like through that first sector especially. Try to minimize your distance and try to just not scrub tires at all. And yeah, that seemed to be the best strategy. So I again, I got to say thanks to Azriel for that.
Yeah, it looks like his due diligence definitely paid off in stride for both you and IORT 1-2. That's going to be the first time that's happened too. So that's one for the history books. But I'm going to kick it on over to you, Leo.
Well, congratulations with the race win there. My question is, when you saw Flopster go into the pits, did you kind of go, oh, this is my moment, and I'm going to take it and run with it?
I was not that confident going through because, with you guys like Wid sitting behind you, even though he's on hards, I know my tires were going to be really bad at the end, so I was not counting my chickens until I got to the end.
That makes sense. I wouldn't either. But it worked out. And like I said, your teammate helped you with that. That is what we're all here for, is having the teammates and probably some of the greatest driving that you ever could experience in this game that we all love playing. So I wanted to know that, and congratulations again.
Thank you.
All right, and over to you, Hovercraft. Any questions for our race victor this evening?
Congratulations, Alikos. It was a very fun race to see. You top three. I wasn't really admittedly expecting the mediums to run that long. I thought the last few laps were going to be, a very much the lap times drop off the edge of a cliff. But you guys were able to make it work, and like these guys said before, 1-2 for the IRO team, amazing result. It's clear that you practice a lot in the background. It's clear that you guys really, tried every single option and found the one that worked best for you. What are your thoughts going into the finals? You were standing on, let me see, 28 points. 25, that makes 53, very much easily clear of the cutoff line. So how are you expecting yourself to approach the final race?
You never know what to expect. That's how it's got to be with McNaughty. You never know because this is my third season. First season, the combo worked really well for me. It was the F1 cars at Red Bull Ring, and I really liked that combo. And then we went to the next one, and it was Daytona in the Corvettes, and I really did not like that one. So you never know. But I'd like to add about this race as well. So one big thing that was hard for me to decide was when I was trying to make my way through the pack, whether I should actually go for moves, because we were slowing each other down a lot at the beginning, and I didn't know if it was worth it to go and kill my tires. It was extremely close with getting my tires to the end, so I think it worked out, but it was kind of a lot of back and forth, and it was definitely a nail biter, and Azriel helped me out with he was doing some great defending at the end there, so once again, just have to thank Azriel.
No, absolutely. I'm glad to see both of you guys having a very good shot at going into the finals, and congratulations on the result today. Amazing work to the IRO team, and yeah, hope you guys celebrate with a bottle of champagne.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much for your time, Alikos. Definitely go rest up and pay close attention to those standings, both after the break and also tomorrow after their Division A race. We've got plenty in store, and hopefully you will be a part of every moment of it. So thank you so much and have a great night.
You guys too.
Alrighty, folks. With that said, we're going to take one last break, and when we come back, we will take a look at the provisional standings for Division A across both days. So please contain your excitement and bear with us for a brief intermission. Sit tight.
Hi, I'm Mark Goldstein, and welcome to Hankies. We are located in the heart of Old Town Florissant, 901 North Lafayette, a few blocks down from Sacred Heart Church and Hendel's Market Cafe. This local establishment started in 1926. The Hankies family bought the bar from the Schraders in 1955. And then turned into what it is today, Hankies Tavern. And in 2021, a group of local investors became owners of Hankies Tavern. Recently, we went from a dirt pile to a full-fledged patio, which has bags and washers, entertainment on Friday, Saturday night, which we hope to extend that. We have extended our kitchen hours, which is a request for many, many years. We do have draft beer back after a 12-year lull of no draft beer. We have brought that back with Budweiser as our mainstay, since this was a Budweiser bar and 1926, right before Prohibition.
We're still doing the crinkle cut fries and our cheeseburger platters, but now we have a couple new creative ideas that our kitchen staff has came up with. So come in and try our homemade chicken lollipops. We smoke them fresh daily and then fry them and top them with a Asian butter sauce, and then topped with green onions as well. That's our biggest hit right now that we have on our menu. Each and every day we make fresh sauces, and we take pride in that. We feel like we have a very good variety of sauces that pair well with our appetizers. Whether you want to come in here for lunch with just you and a buddy, or you want to come in here with you and your whole group of people, whether it's 20 people, 200 people, we feel like we can accommodate everyone and anybody.
As of this year, we've done something that it hasn't happened in the history of this establishment. We do accept credit cards. We established a Hankey's Helps non-for-profit organization that reaches out to friends in need. Hankey's is a community bar. We have a lot of the regulars from years past still attending. We have a lot of the regulars that have left our area that are coming back in droves to see what's going on. Hours of operation is from 11 a.m. to 1:30 a.m. The kitchen hours are from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 11 a.m. till 9 p.m. Find out more information about Hankey's on our Hankey's Facebook page, Hankey's Tavern. We put the bands, when the bands are going to be here, the events are going to be here. Come join us at Hankey's Tavern for a burger and a beer. You'll enjoy all the new items that we have, and you'll enjoy all our new improvements. So we look forward to seeing you in the future. Again, join us on our Facebook page, or you can call us at 314-386-1525 to get a carry-out order, or if you have any questions.
Witness a lakefront transformation right here in the Point. And you may not believe it, but just last year, this home was down to the studs.
Welcome back, everybody. Boy, what an evening we've had. One for the record books, definitely a future repeat of viewing. Honestly, there's not a whole lot I can say on this one other than I'm proud of every single driver who came out here and left everything on the track. You guys did not disappoint. And you should hold your head high knowing that you put on some fantastic racing. But with all that said, a quick thank you one last time to our sponsors. And also, let's go and take a look at those provisional Division A results for Friday and Saturday. All right, so currently leading the charge across Friday and Saturday will be Wid with 93 points. Unfortunately, will not join the triple-digit club this season. He is followed close behind by Jorge over on the Saturday side, currently sitting with 74 points, with KD the Kai leading with 68 points on our P3 spot. We've got Alicos 1 with a resounding 53 points, with Detrus Serum rounding out our top 5 for Saturday with 50. We have a higher place with 49 points. Bacon Dance with 46 in P7. We've got FAF Bovagito with 42 points over on the Saturday side. We've got IORT Azrael in P9 with 40, with Cotton Ballistics over on the Saturday side of things with 38 points. Shred will take P11 with 36, and Flobster will take P12 with 32. We've got K Naranjo, aka Oak, with 31 points on Saturday. We've got Moose 21 sitting in P14 with 27 points. Making our way over into P15, we've got Talon over on Saturday, our favorite forever P1 with 21 points. We've got S7R Mr. Racing over on the Saturday side of things with 19 points in P16. Negative Waves will take P17 with 18 points. We'll have over on the Saturday side FAF Wade with 17 and PDX Roland with 15. We'll have VIP Left to Pass You with 13 points, and on the Saturday side of things, I beg your pardon, will be PHG Josh Moment with 21, sitting P21 with 13 points in a tie with VIP Left to Pass You. We have Nuke in P22 on the Saturday side with things with 12 points. We've got FAF Slowpoke Rods on the Saturday side with 6 points and P23. Hondo has 6 points with a DNS. We've got Slick SHBR2 with 6 points on the Saturday side in P25. We have Drobo in P26 with 5 points. We have Audrey the Squirrel with 4 points on the Friday side with a DNS in P27. And P28 will go to Island Grown 777 on the Saturday side with 3 points. Now, for a lot of these drivers, the only way is up, so make sure you don't miss any of the racing action tomorrow afternoon at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, 10 a.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. British, where it will be hosted by Tati, myself, and Hovercraft. So you can find that all right here live on YouTube at McNaughty. And that's also where you will find the reveal for the final round of the NRL 7th season. Now, before we depart, one last special thank you to our sponsors in the DGDR podcast, Trails and Custom Construction, Hankey's Tavern, and Little J CPA. And with all of that said and done, it is tragically time for us to bid you all good evening for tonight because, well, there's nothing else for us here. So if you want to keep up with any of us outside of the NRL, you can find Leo over here on YouTube where he streams GT, iRacing, and whatever else tickles his fancy. You can find Hovercraft over here on YouTube on the Sector 7 Racing channel. And you can find me over on the Twitch side of things at V2Nix. It has been a great honor to have you all tonight. And until tomorrow, please take care of yourselves and just be safe for us, all right? Hover and I will see you tomorrow. And with that, bye-bye for now.
Take care.